name is Clara Towson, and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom.
I am Francisca George, and I'm a friend of the show.
Perfect.
Hi, my name is Susan Leemans, and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom. Yeah.
My name is Zainab Sammaz, and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom.
Hey guys, my name is Sasha Vickery, and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom.
Hi, my name is Lloyd Harris, and I'm a friend of the show.
Perfect.
Hi, my name is Jan Faria, and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom.
Yes.
Take one. Well done.
Hi, my name is Jasmine Paolini, and I'm a friend of the show.
Wow, Jasmine, you got it in one time.
Ready? Play.
Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, whatever time it is in the world, wherever you're tuning in from. I'm in the middle of a rather busy city. As you can hear, maybe in the background, certain things are going off. Are certain things going off in Melbourne right now? Well, qualification has been complete. And rather than during our live stream, arguably the headline draw ended up happening several hours later when they placed the qualifiers. Something that I know, we can even start with this, Damien. I know it bothers you and it bothers me, and it's bothered me for a few years now. I just don't understand why we can't wait until the qualifiers are there when we've got the draw, for two reasons. One, because it adds more excitement, because imagine the excitement we would have seen when, for example, Joao Fonseca would have been drawn against Andrey Rublev. But secondly, it just means it's just a bit more transparent. And I'm not arguing, but the more transparency, the better. I guess I'm preaching to converted, right?
I mean, sure. These like lucky loser and qualifier draws, they are done like, behind the scenes, backstage. You don't really see it in terms of the lucky loser order. We don't really know it until the players are in. Yeah, I mean, I'm not maybe as passionate about the topic as you are, but it's pretty nice when you already get this and don't have to wait. I also kind of hate the fact that when a draw comes out, like there are so many people who are just like analyzing it, back and forth already for like 10 hours, and then, not even including the fact that we will have qualified. Including here, it's a big deal.
Absolutely. And a third reason, which has come to me now, although I was aware of this in my subconscious at least, was the fact that, just giving prominence and giving a name to some of these players that, as Conor Nyland pointed out, even some of the players maybe aren't aware of or just don't want to mention in their victory speeches, if you remember when he was talking about my opponent. But I also think for fans, it's great. So those that are trying to get invested in the draws, and I think it does seem to me to be a bigger thing today than ever before. As I saw as well from the live channel that actually was doing the show. I mean, again, why slams aren't showing the draws is nuts when you look at least 10,000 people at one point were tuning into to not our live show, Damien, sadly enough, but the one with the actual draw on it. I actually did write to the Australian Open about 4 days ago. I didn't get a response, but just saying, can we share the draw live on our channel? Mm-hmm. If I was in charge, I would say yes to everybody who wants to do that, because I think it's only a good thing for the sport. But listen, let's get to the nuts and bolts of is it. Am I getting carried away with the whole thing with Fonseca? Oh, by the way, of course, I did. I wrote this in jest mainly, but only because I agree with you how stupid it is to predict where people are going to be in the draw. But I was playing the game because Vanch made me laugh by doing something similar, and he was playing up to that. So I just said, Fonseca's going to draw Rublev. Here we go. And a few hours later, of course, that happened to be the case. But am I getting carried away by going, this is probably the match of the first round, at least on the men's side?
I mean, in terms of the hype, yeah. I honestly don't know if I've ever seen something like this. So, like, basically when the qualifying just feels like a foregone conclusion for a player from start to finish, and when that set player is just getting so much buzz, so much excitement compared to literally anyone else in the draw, maybe even in the main draw. As you said at the very beginning, like, to me, the story of Thursday was not where, like, Alcaraz lands, where Zverev lands. It was where Joao Fonseca is going to be. And I think that was actually the case for most people. It's not just in my twisted bubble. And this is something that maybe not even Carlos Alcaraz had in 2021 Australia, 2021 French. A lot of people were excited about him, sure. I'm not saying, this is exactly right, that, like, we should be getting more excited for Fonseca than for Alcaraz. I'm not saying that at all. In fact, I think Alcaraz was like from the very beginning of his career even more heralded. But I just don't remember there being that sort of again, just a buzz that's been around around social media since the draw came out, since the qualifying draw came out, really. And of course, the fact that he also like demolished all his opponents along the way is amazing. It's definitely a match where we like have zero idea how to estimate the winning chances of players. We've had Fonseca clashing against some top guys. Yes, I mean, he beat Menchik, Fils at the Next Gen Finals. He had some wins, of course, last year too, including Fils in Rio, where he kind of demolished him. Out of top 10 players, Rublev is like, what, joint second? No, I mean, not joint, but like second most vulnerable, probably, alongside Ruud.
You've sort of done this in your head. You just looked at all. Who's Ruud playing in the first round?
I don't remember. I'm just talking about like general like power ranking,
Yeah.
As in like if you want to draw a top 10 player, Rublev is one of the best options. That's where I was. That's
yeah.
where I'm going.
Sorry. Yeah. I also thought that there's something that I like about this draw, perhaps even more. I mean, I would have loved it against Alcaraz too, and I'd have loved them all. But what does add a little bit more interest for the neutral observer is that, I think there's a chance here for Fonseca to, let's say, take the first set. We'll get into a little bit more of that probably towards the end of this. What will be, I hope, a pretty short episode. I was thinking 5 or 10 minutes, but we're already 6 minutes in, and we're just sort of beginning with our thoughts. But of course, what adds the intrigue to this particular draw, which is one of the reasons I mentioned it in the live chat last night or this morning or whatever time it is, and we're going to get more of that in the next couple of weeks, is the fact that there's a real competitive element to this. Maybe if it was against, especially, I think even more so if it was against Sinner, for example, I'd be going, well, it's been nice seeing you, Joao, in the main draw, but your time here might be fleeting. And it might be I don't think it would be a demoralizing loss, but I think it might burst the bubble for a bit. Whereas there's another player that springs to mind, and in some ways he feels like the top 10, if you forgive me, and that's Stefanos Tsitsipas. I think both him and Rublev feel like a similar moment in their careers right now. I'm guessing their ages are quite similar, but there's a bit of like, I wonder if we've seen the peak of these two players, and that might be it. We might just see Rublev maybe just drop down the rankings slightly, but as a result, we see. I put this as a 60-40 clash. I'm almost giving away what I think. And by the way, the 60 is for Andrey. Just before we get into what you think about it, is I actually want to think about Joao. Even as recently as October, November, we do seem to have seen a step forward of some proportions. We'll probably get to know more in the next few days as to how big those proportions are. Are we getting carried away, Damien? Are we seeing significant jumps? Is it the fact that the opposition maybe hasn't been the most taxing, even in the qualifiers, that his draw was quite simple, or are we? Is the getting carried away justified?
I think it is. I think the jump was even like more recent. November, he was still playing all of these European indoor challengers, losing to, who was it? Choinski again, I think. And that was the second loss to him in this season. Then in Lyon, he plays this amazing match against Landaluce, of course, a fellow young prospect. And you kind of expect him to push on to take the title from there. But he has a very poor showing against Emery in the semis. And that was kind of the reality of Fonseca, let's say, the last few months. September to November, just very good showing here or there, but you can't really combine it into titles, into a final somewhere. And between this, to go to the Next Gen Finals, like that month of not playing and apparently just training with some excellent results, I think it's really turned him into a monster. Yes, the qualifying draw was reasonably soft. I don't think it was the toughest. But then again, he just won Canberra as well. And that was just, the most stacked challenger of the year. Well, not really, but like one of the most stacked challengers of the season. You've got him beating McDonald in the opening round. McDonald, who today lost in the final qualifying round. Ajdukovic, Mayo. Obviously, also then Ethan Quinn, who was super in form as well. Just like, 10 wins in a row or whatever it was by the time he made the final. 11, I guess, in that tournament. Jacob Fernley, who is going to be in the Australian Open main draw and who many people think is the favorite over Kyrgios. So I think that's sort of like set of opponents. And obviously the Next Gen Finals one, even more so, was much more difficult than his qualifying competition. So maybe that's why, we were looking at the qualifying and just thinking, well, it's going to be a massive disappointment if he loses. But the fact that he cleaned it up so well, Also, no matches this year that went over like 75 minutes.
Yeah,
like, it's literally gone 8-0, and it's I think there's been like 3 or 4 by now that were 75, 73 minutes, 74, 75, including today against Tirante. But yeah, I'm not sure we're getting carried away. As I said, I don't think the excitement about a qualifier, ever since I started following these competitions, I don't think I've ever seen something like this. Against Rublev, I mean, I think the ELO rankings, for example, for tennis abstract, like they place Fonseca at 48% or something like that.
Okay.
It's a bit crazy. It's a bit out there. Obviously, the ELO is also like not a perfect system. It's probably slightly better than general ranking.
About 5 over 3 sets.
That's a good question, and I'm actually not sure if probably not. I don't think it accounts for the format. I don't think that would be really possible because.
Right. And yet
the only thing you could do is you could just give the player who has the higher ELO a slightly bigger edge. But it's impossible for the ELO ratings to just look at the fact that Fonseca hasn't played best of 5 and Rublev has played billion matches in best of 5. I think that 48-51 is probably slightly inaccurate. Like I would probably place it just as you did, more or less.
Yeah. 48-52.
No, yeah, because it was like 51 point,
Got it.
But yeah, sure. Obviously, 48-52. If we round up the numbers, so I think it's probably slightly inaccurate. But then again, we just don't really know, right? It's not something that we've seen Fonseca attempt before.
What you might have said it in between or in a couple of lines. I was just making a couple of notes. What is it that Joao has really like specifically stepped forward? Because I'm reading things along the lines of the service better. Is it the fact that he's just being more consistent? Has he made a kind of a Yannick Sinner style step forward in terms of just being far more solid with maybe a slightly more margin? Is he being just more consistent? What is it? Is it the return? Or is it a bit of everything?
I mean, definitely solidity is a part of it. There's like bigger targets. But yeah, especially serve return, I think. Serving, it's been absolutely spectacular. I think he's held 43 times in a row now or something like that. I mean, literally, it's basically the one thing that is getting him to be, that next step forward. Because if you just are able to cruise through your service games the way he's been, the players are not really putting him under pressure whatsoever. So it's really allowing him to like go all out on the ground strokes as well. Obviously, it sets up the aggressive plays he likes. And the returning has been very good too. Just like very different, maybe even approach to it. As you mentioned, somewhat Sinner-ish in that sense. But even just like the sheer timing of all of these like reactive first serve returns he's getting, super deep, super quick, taking over right away. Yeah, it's just a completely different ball game to like what he was doing to, I don't know, still November, October.
Yeah.
So I think that 1 month literally, so like about 4 weeks of training that he went through seemingly has really allowed him to open up for completely new possibilities. And yeah, I mean, we want to see that, right, from youngsters. These off-season training blocks are especially important for players at this age. And it's fantastic to see that he's like really worked out so much stuff during such a short period of time.
Indeed. I think as well, we can be even more confident. If there were, I still wasn't sure probably in October, November, we still don't know what the ceiling will be. And as you rightfully said, when referencing Carlos Alcaraz here, we're not saying that the boy's going to win 4 Grand Slams over the next 2 or 3 years. But I think those that were thinking there was potential there now can actually be even those that were sort of quietly confident here was a guy. I think even those probably individuals like yourself were probably a little bit surprised by this meteoric jump over the last 4 to 6 weeks. There was another thing. I didn't watch his match this morning, but I did see, I think he was at 4-1 with a double break in the second set. So basically, I mean, I had the tweet ready to say he's qualified, basically. And was almost just tempted, because I wanted to go to sleep, to just press send on it and then wait and see what happened the following day. Because it was going to be fairly basic. It wasn't going to be the scoreline. It was just going to be he's through and here's a quick clip of his forehand. I held off, but I held off as well because I think at 4-1 double break, he went 15...
Ready? Play.
Hi, Zach. We are going to be watching. You are probably muted. I don't know if you're aware. Yeah. But we are going to be watching Rublev and Fonseca, the best match of the tournament already before it started.
Yes, indeed. Thanks so much for having me on today. I can't wait to watch this one. I will say, just want to flag for everybody, the Mapeshi Paracard Monfils match lived up to the hype as well. I hope that we get a match at that level today from Fonseca and Rublev, and I think we're gonna.
Yeah, I think it was very close to not living up to that hype. The two double faults from Gael in the third set tiebreak. But well, all's well that ends well from his perspective. He was definitely the better player there for the entirety of the match, really. But
Oh yeah,
managing to get that's huge for him. Even if honestly, for him, Pechi Pericard had a chance to beat Fritz in the third round, and Gael Monfils, by the time he makes the third round, he's gonna be like 55 years of age already. So yeah, I'm not really buying it. However, great stuff for him, of course, after winning Auckland. Both the Auckland and Adelaide champions winning their first matches. This is kind of unusual based on the last few years.
It is. It is. I mean, I wonder if we'll see, if that trend continues, if folks will start playing, some more of the 250 warm-ups like the Winston-Salem Open before the U.S. Open. Although I'm a little biased on that one, as you might know.
Yeah, there's actually going to be an ATP 500 as well this week the week before Roland Garros, right, in Hamburg. This is new, so we don't really know what the entry list will be like and how much the players will actually just change their scheduling based on that. But yeah, maybe they will actually, at least for that slam.
That'll be really, really interesting.
Oh, go ahead. I was just gonna say that I don't know where we are in terms of our streams, but for me, Rublev basically just won the first game.
Okay, my stream has been a bit spotty. I'm just getting things sorted, so I'm going to follow your lead on the commentary. I want to make sure not to miss the key moments. So why don't you set the scene for us as I get my tech situation sorted here? And forgive me, everybody. I have been having challenges since I've been away from my desk and working off my laptop these last couple weeks.
No, we just had for the first game. I think Fonseca basically missed a few returns. Of course, we still don't know all that much. This is such an highly awaited clash for many, many reasons. One of them being how little info we actually have on how Joao will face, how it will fare against the top 10 player, will fare in the longer format. The producer is already there with the calls that he is a little bit nervous. One thing that I would hate today, and in a way I'm actually dreading this matchup for one particular reason, because if Rublev wins this easily in 3 sets, you can just imagine all the comments on Twitter, right? Who are going to be like, we said he was overrated. We said Fonseca guy, nothing special, People who are just going to be judging him after one match, jumping to conclusions after one match. That's why I meant what I said. I don't know if it was pretty cryptic, but I said something on Twitter just 10 minutes ago that Rio de Janeiro wasn't built in a day. And that's exactly what I feel about this. Even if he loses to Rublev, obviously there would be nothing wrong about that in the opening round of a Grand Slam, his Grand Slam main draw debut. But I just kind of wish it's at least competitive so that these people can shut the hell up.
I agree. So in my feed, Fonseca has just won his first service point and is serving for his second in the Australian Open.
Okay, I'll try to. It's good that it's the Australian Open. If it was the US Open, I would have been worried. I'm trying to find something that's going to be a little more in line with yours, but we'll see how that goes.
I guess that would mean I'm either from the future or the past or an alternate timeline. And then, we're really off the rails at that point. Big serve from Fonseca at 15 all. Are our streams lined up or do I need to slow mine down?
No. It's the other way around. I mean, I don't really have a way of slowing mine, but I will try to find another that would be more in line with yours. That's my goal.
Damien, while we're getting our stream synced, we have a question for you in the chat from Dan, who wants to know what you think about Tsitsipas going out yesterday.
Yeah, I've had some thoughts on this on the channel. I mean, first of all, I think it was a very depressing loss for him. The first two sets, especially, just constant pressure on the backhand, nothing he can really do. Then, of course, it gets a bit more exciting, I suppose. But for many reasons, I think the weaknesses aren't improving, the strengths aren't like strengthening. If I was watching that match, I think I was mostly focusing on something else. Basilashvili Menchik. I was doing the watch along for this and Tsitsipas, Mikkelsen with Vange. And I was just thinking, like, there's no shot in Tsitsipas's game that can really like turn this around. It's not like his forehand is just gonna like start killing points out of neutral gear or whatever. It's just not that kind of caliber at the moment, at the very least. So pretty depressing from that standpoint. But also, what I said before the match, like I just didn't really feel excited about it because I just feel he's so irrelevant right now. Like whether Tsitsipas lost in the first round or in the second round, I didn't really care for that. Like literally, I just don't treat him as a serious contender and hard anymore. Hopefully, again, when we come to the clay season, it's just gonna like change right away, like it did last year. But for the time being, I mean, it's like a year now of him going 50% that's in basically any hardcourt match. And also the worst part maybe is that the Australian Open was kind of like his saving grace always, because since 2018, when he obviously was very young, lost in the opening round, but since then he was always, I think, at least in the third round, maybe even at least in the fourth round. There's always this great Greek community in Melbourne supporting him, and yet even at this event now, this is happening to him. And of course, Mikkelsen has great tools to attack his weaknesses, to switch backhand line, to go to the net. But still, it's just like half the tour has great tools to beat Tsitsipas now.
Yeah. I think that's spot on. The word that stuck out to me was irrelevant, and I feel the same way. He just simply doesn't matter in tennis terms at this point. Even if he'd lost in the round of 16. I don't think that anybody would say, oh, like Tsitsipas, this could be the year that he makes a run. He just doesn't seem to have that final gear at all that he needs. And to your point, there's not a shot that can turn things around for him. Rublev playing solid tennis here, but Fonseca a bit sloppy. To the person that mentioned maybe he had some nerves. Held to serve, of course, spraying the ball a bit on Rublev's serve in the third game here.
Yeah, definitely not a great start when he turned for Joao. That's also one of the parts of his game that's improved recently. But for now, in the first 3 games, he definitely isn't showing that. But, time. There's a lot of time. And basically, if he's just holding, that's also going to be okay. Being behind on the scoreboard has not been a thing of late for Fonseca. Yes, indeed. I think he was 3-1 down in the second set against Mayo in Canberra. But that might very well be like his only real deficit in a set this year, which is pretty wild considering he's played 8
I think it goes back to something you were talking about a moment ago, which is he's so untested. We know so little other than he's an amazing talent. But I mean, the data set that we're operating off of, it's tiny. And I think that's one of the things that's so exciting as a tennis fan is we just don't know anymore. With Tsitsipas, for example, it does feel like we kind of know. It feels like we know what his ceiling is. Maybe he can surprise us. But at the end of the day, there isn't that excitement around him, and there hasn't been in years. Whereas Fonseca, is he the next Alcaraz, which is an absurd amount of pressure to put on a kid and unfair to anybody. But hey, maybe, is he merely a very good player who's going to be a contender? Is he a perennial top 30 guy? We're going to find out the answers to those questions. And as a tennis fan, it's just really fun.
Absolutely. And I mean, the thing I always say is that, that is he as good as Sinner Alcaraz? We can't know that. But does he have the potential to be? Yeah, sure. And then it's all about that nurture segment at this point, which of course can go really in many ways. To the question of the producer, I have to say that obviously this is the highest ranked opponent he's ever faced. He played Arthur Fils at the Next Gen finals as well, not only in Rio. So Fils was ranked 20 there. I think that he also played Cameron Norrie when Norrie was ranked like 29 in Madrid. And of course, Fils in Rio, as you mentioned, this is also one of his highest ranked opponents at 36 back then. So kind of uncharted territory for sure.
Yeah. I got to tell you, I like they're getting a little wacky with the format for the Next Gen finals. I hope they keep that format just to that tournament, but it is a fun wrinkle. And I, as somebody who's done in practice the best of fives where you play fast 4 tennis, it is It's an added wrinkle in the game.
Yeah, I don't hate it at all. I mean, anytime I watch it every year, I'm actually more excited about it than anything else. It's just a very different like level of excitement. Is just trending differently over the course.
Sorry to cut you off here. Did you see Joao take a little tumble there?
Yeah, I did because I looked at the other stream for a second. I still kept that second stream up, but anyway, yeah, I'm now on the slower one. But that was my reaction like a minute ago, and I was like, oh, so yeah. And I was just gonna say that the level of excitement just like fluctuates very differently than in a usual match, because here, like, I don't know, a 2-all game generally in tennis doesn't feel that important for the most part. Like, you're not gonna get that buzz. Whereas at the next gen finals in that quicker format, you're just gonna have it all the time. Basically, every single point feels relevant, and that's good. I think that might be a way for the future. Like, I wouldn't be up for maybe doing it now. I know that there would be a lot of people who'd be outraged if the entire tour switched to it. But yeah, just like no reason to go away from it at that particular event, and sort of just keep testing it out and certainly enjoy it every single time.
Yeah, I think, look, change, while not always good, it is inevitable. And so it's nice to see tennis, accepting that they're going to have to introduce some new things. Maybe we'll get crazy and introduce cheering during points at some point in the next generation or two, which is a thing that I personally like to see. Fonseca, at one point down 15-30 on this service game, seems to be back in it in the driver's seat. That 30-all, or that 30-15, or say that 15-30 point, just overwhelmed Rublev with his power.
Yeah, I think he was even low 30 down when he took that stumble.
Yeah. And an unnecessary little somersault with the tumble that is just a thing of youth and athleticism. If I did a tumble, probably wouldn't attempt to do what Fonseca did there.
Yeah, great game from low 30. This looked pretty dangerous when he took that fall. Not that the fall in itself looked dangerous, but just the situation as a whole. But from there, the forehand was definitely forehanding, and we still got him holding, despite, as we said earlier, not looking too impressive on return in the early days.
Absolutely. Let's see if we can close out this game here. Oh, yeah. Okay. A tasty little forehand to close it out from Fonseca there. Kren Boogie in the chat does not seem to be buying into the hype for Fonseca. And M. Matthias wants to know who we got, Fonseca or Rublev. Damian, I am going to go with the hype, and I'm going to say that Fonseca pulls this off in 5. What you got? What's your prediction?
I mean, I was writing a quick prediction for this match somewhere, and I was just like, I could easily just go Rublev here because of that physical intensity of the 5-setter, which I think is mostly the only thing that Rublev has over Fonseca, even at this very stage of Joao's career. Like, I don't really see what else other than just smacking the ball, every single ball hard and deep Rublev has done over Fonseca. And it might just be the most important thing because this is the format that Joao has never played. It's very tough on the body and etc. But, well, I think if it was a shorter match, like best of 3, it would be like a 50-50 for me for sure. And simply, I just decided to, why not? I'm not doing this for like any, I don't have to be 100% accurate. So I'm just going for second 5. Why not? I just want to have fun. Like, to me,
now, if you were putting money on it,
yeah, if I was
would you
putting
stick
money
with
on
that
it,
prediction?
I wouldn't pick Fonseca because I think the odds have gone a little crazy. Rublev was obviously starting as a pretty big favorite, and then it's like been getting closer and closer to even. So if I was betting money on it, I wouldn't be playing Fonseca, no. But if I'm just predicting for fun, fun prediction for me is a Fonseca win here.
Absolutely. In the early going here, Fonseca has just been so sloppy on Rublev's service. And I think that's, while frustrating right now, shows maybe some of the hype and why it's justified, right? Is because it's not like he looks like he doesn't belong on the court. But at the same time, you see clear areas for growth just through 4.5 games here.
Yeah, he's returning over the past 2 events really. So, well, 3 events, I guess, if you count the Australian Open qualifying, was also one of the things that really improved. But yeah, I mean, it's he also wasn't facing Andrey Rublev, and he also won
Right.
this nervous, probably.
Absolutely.
I don't think the Canberra Challenger round 2 against Duja Ijdukovic was giving him the same sort of vibes.
Not quite. Not the same crowd atmosphere at the Canberra Challenger. Okay. Right after I said that Fonseca was playing sloppy on my stream, we now have got Rublev with a couple easy mistakes. Double fault here and in the net, doing the classic Rublev face.
Kretbogi, of course, very excited about Monfils. He's the biggest Monfils fan on the planet and definitely the biggest fan on talking tennis. So I imagine he's gonna be quite excited. Yes, indeed. Pretty good win. I mean, still, he probably should have won it in 3 sets. But in the end, who cares about that?
Did I see correctly that he did not face a single break point in 5 sets?
Yes, the entire match didn't face a single break point.
This I think is the challenge with a player like Mepeci Pericard. You know, he's got an all-world weapon with that serve. I think I saw his top speed was 232 kilometers per hour, and you know it's such a weapon. But if you can't generate a single break point in 5 sets across a 37-year-old player, granted one of my favorite players as well, all the veteran guile and savvy in the world, still has some of the trademark athleticism and shot making, but you just can't build a sustainable, top 20 career if you can't improve upon that return. So we'll see in the coming years if Mepeci Pericard is able to level up a little bit there. That would separate him from some of the other kind of famous serve bots over the past generation or two, the Isners of the world.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree with that at all. I think with the current state of Mepeci Pericard's game, he's just getting into lottery matches everywhere.
Yeah.
And that is going to lead to some amazing wins. I mean, I think the guy has a 6-1 record against the top 20, for example, which isn't sustainable, but still. And at the same time, it's going to be tough to just like combine this into massive runs in the biggest events. Of course, he's already won big titles, sort of like, I mean, ATP 500 Basel, for example. I don't think he dropped his serve there. But just seeing the Grand Slam run from that guy at the moment seems a little tricky when you just know that every single match is going to be tight. Every single match is going to be all about these like few points here or there. And obviously today he was kind of winning all these few points here or there in sets 3 and 4. However, at the very beginning of the 5th set, it was his double first serve strategy that kind of backfired on him and allowed Monfils to get that break. So no break points in the entire match for saved by Gael, but he was actually on, in a lot of games on return.
And we're on serve here. Fonseca 2-3, 15 love. Looking pretty spicy with some of those first. He's making it at a good clip on the first. He's got the, power, the placement, 3 aces already through in just his 3rd service game. Fonseca's showing flashes here.
Yeah, I mean, the serve probably is the biggest thing that kind of like really leaped in that short of season that he had between middle of November, the Lyon Challenger and the Next Gen Finals. And at least that today is still holding up as well as we were expecting it to.
Forgive me, I'm realizing how far behind my stream is compared to yours. So this is my first time doing a stream where I'm all the way behind. I think part of it is that I had to use a VPN to get things situated for me. So forgive me for holding back the match by about 45 seconds here, it looks like.
No worries. I have this like one super quick stream, which is always ahead of other people. Now I'm watching on that slower option, which is still considerably ahead of yours, like 2 points maybe. But this is normal. Like whenever we do this watch alongs, this is normal. We just have to manage. And
well, it's a global, it's a global network, right? I'm in Argentina today. Where are you coming from today?
Oh, you're in Argentina today. Okay.
Just till the end of January. Normally, my home setup in North Carolina, is amongst the faster. I've always had the faster stream from there, but it's a wired desktop with Google Fiber versus here I'm on apartment Wi-Fi at an Airbnb on a laptop.
Yeah. I mean, this is just always a small issue that we have to battle on these watch-alongs, but it's not really a big deal. Like whenever I'm the slower guy, sometimes I really just don't care, to be honest. It's
one thing
more
I just want to
important
note.
talk about the match and watch it, and then just still watch the points, but whoever talks about them first is really not the main thing for me.
A bad miss from Fonseca on that overhead. That looked like a little bit of youthful enthusiasm getting out of hand. Maybe he had other safer options that could have won him that point besides what he did.
Sean, not in the our sense, as in I can't tell you if they are well known in Brazil, but they're not well known internationally. So
follow up for you, Damon. Damon, is there anybody that you would like to see coach Fonseca? If you could, wave a magic wand, take any coach who is available or unavailable, and put him in charge of Fonseca's growth, who would it be?
That's a tough one. Yeah, I'm thinking of someone who really tuned in the obvious answer I guess would be the coaches of Sinner, right? Because it's such a similar game in the kind of the basics. So you need similar things from that. This where Fonseca is right now, I guess you need pretty similar things. So the way that they just made Sinner's game so much more varied, I guess that makes sense. Fonseca, it's a bit more natural for him to obviously go to the net and to be inventive with his shots. So maybe it's not exactly the same. But yeah, maybe some of these guys who have just been tested with some other great young guns, probably someone who has already raised a young player to perfection. So you also have Ferrero on the Alcaraz side, of course. It will never happen, really. But yeah, maybe someone like this who simply has experience at getting a player in this particular stage of the development, and then just turning them from a raw diamond into just solid gold.
I have a ridiculous one for you.
Go ahead.
Does Tony Nadal have one more in him? I'd like to find out.
At least now there wouldn't be that issue, where Tony said that he wouldn't coach Felix if he played Nadal.
Yeah.
So now it wouldn't be an issue. Yeah, I mean, I like that. Yeah, sure.
Lexi, welcome to the chat. Jane wanted to point out that RBA is keeping it close with Chapo. Another good match to keep an eye on. And as we're in a lull in play on my feed here, I noticed we also got a question from Dan about the Kyrgios interview yesterday, where he said that he didn't see himself playing another match in Australia. Damien, I'm curious what your thoughts are, but first, I just want to say this sort of dance of is Kyrgios going to play, isn't he going to play? I have found it to be deeply unpleasant. Not a knock on him. It's clear that he does not actually enjoy playing tennis to me. And it's not fun to watch somebody do a job that they don't like, And I think on top of that, it seems like he's had meaningful physical challenges and setbacks and is playing with and living with a certain amount of pain in that wrist, amongst other things. And so, I take Kyrgios at his word that he's probably not going to be playing much longer, maybe at all after this year. He's got a second career, soon to be a first career as a commentator. And so I think it makes sense for him. And also, maybe ultimately it's a good thing for everybody, because this half in, half out Kyrgios that we're getting, it does nothing for me. Damien, what do you think? As Fonseca starts to serve at 3-4.
I'd say that this is also these first few matches, other than for us to check where Nick is at and where Nick is at health in terms of his health, it's also an opportunity for him to check that, whether his body will still be able to live up to the just rigors of the professional tour, whether he still cares enough, whether he still wants to work hard enough for it. So I think it's ultimately very dependent on him and how much he actually cares, whether he is willing to put in the hours to potentially get back to where he was. watching that match against Fernley, I mean, I got kind of what I expected. He still had that flash in the third set, which was cool that he at least got that. But ultimately, I just didn't really think that the match against Becci Pericard in Brisbane was like good physical preparation. It's just a serving contest there, really, for 39 games. Long, I mean, 39 games, but still. And yeah, I think obviously he needs more time, but it's going to be up to him whether he wants to give it more time and whether he feels like physically he is ready to give it more time.
Yeah. And as we're talking about, going back to Tsitsipas again, knowing a player, we know Kyrgios, the question of will he put in the time, unless he has, an Agassi, mid to late 20s total turnaround where he dedicates himself to the physical side of the game completely. I just don't think that it's there for him. And unlike Agassi, I don't see a world in which Kyrgios would make that choice. He just has a complicated relationship with the game, too complicated. And Agassi did too, but also Agassi put the work in a way that Kyrgios has never shown an ability to.
Yeah, in a way, these tough beginnings for Andrey as well, they kind of taught him how to put in that effort. Not really sure that Nick has ever had that. I mean, he kind of was always the talent that doesn't really need to practice as hard as the other players, that can go partying until 4 a.m. the night before the match and is still going to be doing fine. So
yeah. And Dan pointed out in the chat that Kyrgios, he's been open at dealing with mental health issues, and certainly we can take him at his word that he has. But the being out partying until 4 a.m., while it might be a symptom of a mental health issue, it might also be a symptom of being a 20-something millionaire. And that's one of the aspects of the game that I think isn't discussed enough. It's hard. It's tough to have that kind of money, that kind of fame, and in Kyrgios' case, that kind of notoriety at that age. Some players are better at handling it than others. It's a skill. Alcaraz, for example, is clearly better equipped to deal with it than Kyrgios is. Fonseca working the crowd a little bit, getting them pumped up. I'm liking the energy he's bringing here at Deuce at 4-3, 3-4.
Wait until you see the break point that's coming up. That's gonna be...
I don't see a break point right now. I've got Fonseca serving at 3-4.
Oh, sorry.
Add in.
Soon you're gonna see it. I'm not gonna tell you who won it, but it's
okay. A little suspense.
Yeah.
If in the chat, very saucy forehand to close out the game for Fonseca. Kid can play.
Wait, what?
I don't know. I don't know that he's gonna fulfill our prediction that neither of us would put money on, but both of us made that he's gonna win. But he certainly got a little bit of flair to him. And in a battle of best kits, Fonseca, in my mind, is certainly winning. That on attire, it hits for me.
Yeah, On was onto him early, that's for sure. Joining Świątek and Shelton at the time, and now Koboli as well. But yeah, good for them because it's worth it. By the way, you said that close out the game already, or?
Yeah, so I've got Fonseca at 4, or I've got Rublev now serving at 15 love.
Oh, okay. I'm at the same. But so you didn't see the breakpoint, or did you see it?
The one where he worked the crowd at the end there.
Okay, never mind then. Yeah, I thought you were like 2 points behind. Never mind. Then yeah, that was
the
breakpoint.
I refreshed my feed.
Okay. Yeah, that seems to have changed quite a bit, the dynamic here.
Yeah.
In fact, I think we are pretty much the same here as basically when he hit that forehand, you said that he was closing out the game. But yeah, that breakpoint was obviously quite entertaining. But perhaps could have closed it out sooner, but the smash wasn't that easy. Somehow survives, eventually Rublev missing that forehand cross. But yeah, first real opportunity of the match for either player. First pressure point. And after all, I mean, he held up.
He did. And Rublev serving at 30-15, but still looking pretty darn solid on his serve. Jane's in the chat says that she doesn't love the look of how slick the on fabrics are. I agree. Ben Shelton looks like the sweatiest man on earth whenever he plays a match. That being said, I have one of their shirts, and I'm certainly not sponsored by them. I'm just somebody who likes the product, and it is a pretty fantastic breathable material on a hot day. So especially in Australia in the summer, it's a good product. agree with Jane. The aesthetics, it does look very, very sweaty when somebody's wearing one, but it is
Thank you,
breathable.
like
Okay,
for
Rublev
the
at
for the
40-15.
memberships. If I remember correctly, you also did that a few days ago. So thank you for being so generous to us, and we definitely are going to keep trying to deliver these live streams during the Australian Open and the last ball drops and the ready play or whatever the shows are called before the start of action. Trying our best and trying to keep the channel growing through Melbourne, which is probably the toughest slam for the channel, truthfully, just with the scheduling.
Yeah. Yesterday on
Working
the stream that I did with Eddie, we were talking about the schedule of tennis and whether it actually made sense for the Australian Open to be held in January when it is. And Eddie suggested potentially they could do the Asia swing to start the year and then push back Australia. And I think that is a phenomenal idea. I don't think that it is likely to happen because the tour is pretty darn resistant to that type of change. But look, it just doesn't make sense to be playing this tournament in the hottest part of the year in Australia. It simply does not. But hey, look, we'll enjoy the matches. But if they could push this back to maybe the end of February or March, I think that might be a more manageable setup for the players, and thus I think the fans would benefit as well.
Well, we got a nice replay of that long pointed breakpoint here with the distance run and everything. Rublev definitely doing quite a lot of work there defensively. Maybe that was also what contributed to the final loss. Certainly possible.
Okay. Fonseca serving at 4-5. You can feel the pressure building in the stadium for the players. This is pretty darn electric stuff here. Wow, Fonseca. Nice forehand approach. Looks automatic. To his credit, doesn't look nearly as sweaty as Shelton. Does this youngster even sweat? I don't know. We're going to find out. Okay. Damien, on mine, obviously, I've got you and I are here chatting, enjoying this match together with the folks in the chat. So my sound is not on for Rublev Fonseca, but you can almost feel the crowd noise coming through the screen, even without that sound on. You can tell that people believe they might be witnessing the start of the career of somebody who is a special player.
Sorry. That sound like Adobe or whatever. Yeah, my sound on the stream is also off. Well, very quick game for Fonseca. So if you were thinking whether he's gonna feel the pressure of 4-5, so far no, definitely not.
Oh, I have to.
Someone just texted me 4 hours 35 minutes before fifth set. That's insane. What's
Oh wow, which match is that? In another lull here, I'd like to talk about whatever that match is, because holy moly.
I don't even know. Like, I'm looking at the... I don't know. I'm looking at the lineup and I just can't see it.
I do want to highlight that the young American, not quite as hyped as Fonseca, but very, very talented, Lerner Tien, got it done in 5 sets as well. Speaking of long matches.
Yeah, it was pretty long indeed. I mean, he was pretty big favorite there, but it's kind of people just kind of overlooking how if you're Lerner Tien, you don't really have like the natural power and the ability to be a front runner in the points. So like it doesn't really matter you're playing on a hard court against Will Carabelli. He can just treat it as a clay match, and it's kind of what it was. But yeah, he outlasted the guy, and of course Camilo is one of the bigger like marathon men on the tour, so it's still a solid showing. Actually, very similar to the win Boyer just got against Coria, where you draw somebody like this and you are just expected to win. But you still have to deliver in your Grand Slam main draw debut for Tristan, and for Lerner, of course, he played 3 times at the US Open, but first time outside the US.
certainly at that age, any win in a major is a big deal. Rublev, this a second ago with a pretty questionable choice in that swinging volley. I wonder if he would. Well, I believe that he wishes he had that one back. Here we go, 15 all. Oh, Fonseca taking a cut like a teenager. Missed that by about 6 feet, but good for him for showing the courage or lack of decision making to go for it like that.
Yeah, by the way, my fault. I misinterpreted the message. So there was no match. That was 4:35 before the fifth set. Not yet today, at least. Maybe Rublev Fonseca can deliver like this.
We might be on it. We're living in it. Rublev fired up with the forehand winner there.
A lot of pretty quick games between the two, so probably not. But
yeah,
well, we wish that it becomes an epic like this.
I think the conditions are there.
Yeah,
Rublev with a big ace to close it out and take it to 6-5.
So far,
what's going through Fonseca's head right now? What is this is a first for him. He is right in it against a top 10 player in the world. Do you think he's just on automatic, or do you think that the whole thought machine is racing?
Probably not yet, but at some point it might. I mean, he doesn't seem a guy who's like phased by many things, but it's just natural. Yeah, I mean, if it's gonna be a tight finish, he's like he barely has chances to close it out. Yeah, he definitely can experience some issues like this today.
With experience, yes, you've got advantages, but there are drawbacks to experience too, right? And sorry to keep picking on Tsitsipas and keep going back to him, but that's a guy that there are players that he doesn't think that he can beat anymore because he's lost them enough times, or there's situations that he's been in enough times where he starts to have that, oh no, not again feeling, or he very well might be having that, oh no, not again feeling. Fonseca doesn't have that. He doesn't have that muscle memory of when the momentum shifts against him in a major, or of when one of his rivals or top players goes into that level that he feels like he can't compete against him anymore. All he's got is inexperience and belief, and that can be an advantage. Youth is powerful.
Yeah, that's actually surprisingly. I mean, not surprisingly, but I think it's a great argument, because what I'm trying to say is that like Tsitsipas at some point he also didn't have players like this. Like he was in that position as well, where he thought he can beat anybody. And at this point, you can kind of see that, yeah, he just doesn't trust that he's going to beat Alcaraz. He doesn't trust that he's going to beat Sinner. He's lost to them many times, especially to Carlos. And he's looking at how Yannick is playing right now. And yeah, he just lost that belief, which is so important as well. Yeah. You have players like, I don't know, Casper Ruud, who never had that belief. And that's also like seriously hampering their chances, because they treat themselves like they treat these players as superior to themselves. And that's, well, I mean, even if it might be actually true in terms of like, whether it's factual or not, this isn't the way to beat them.
Yeah. That's the difference between winning every 250 under the sun versus being one of the greats is belief at a certain point.
Yeah, they can all play, but it's all about delivering, and it's all actually trusting that you can also win.
Yeah.
It's the crazy guys, the guys who are crazy enough to believe that they can be the very best, that are going to get the furthest. At some point, that was also something I loved about Holger Rune, who was becoming like a bit of a villain figure, in some ways. But at the same time, I felt like that mentality that he had of like truly believing that he can beat anybody, that he is just as good as anybody. I thought that was a massive just advantage for him. Now, is it fading? Hopefully not. I guess it's too early to tell. But for someone like Stefanos, definitely it has faded some time ago.
I read a great, or actually, I listened to a great interview with Michael Joyce, former player, current coach, on Pablo Torre's podcast. And one of the things that he said is that him and Andrey Agassi stylistically were almost identical game-wise. there was a split-second difference in their anticipation and their ability to hit the ball. And that was the difference between being 67 in the world and number one. The margins at this level are so thin. And just a little thing like, no, not a little thing, being slightly more confident can be the difference, you know? And, we see that every day.
Yeah. I actually kind of want to see a Michael Joyce highlights now.
Well, he was the subject of that amazing David Foster Wallace profile about professional tennis that worth a reread. I had a chance to reread it last year, and it was every bit as good as I remember. Last time I read it, I think I was late teens, early 20s, and so I have a little bit more perspective on the world and careers and work-life balance and stuff like that. And it just is a fantastic piece. Now, sorry, back to the match here. Fonseca with a massive forehand winner there. And you can tell he is pumped up.
We were waiting for the return to kind of come alive. I mean, it definitely hasn't happened generally in this set, but who knows? Maybe this 1 point is literally all he's going to need.
I mean, starting the tiebreaker off with the mini break for Fonseca. Big deal. Big deal. Let's see if he can get the mini hold of serve. Wow. Another huge forehand. That's why this youngster is so hyped. Holy moly.
Yeah, what a beginning to the tiebreak here from Fonseca. Yeah, I mean,
all right, I want to see some
predictions.
predictions.
The entire set, but
do we think that Fonseca is going to close this out here, chat? I think I do after two of those forehands in the first 3 points.
Yeah, considering the points that I've just watched, it's kind of hard to say no. And including this one, as he goes up 4-love, so a 2-mini break lead already.
Yeah. That was that an inside-out backhand? Inside-out backhand approach? That's the thing, right? Like a coach typically is not going to encourage you to hit an inside-out backhand approach to Andrey Rublev's forehand. That is inexperience and youth working in his favor.
Andrey Rublev's forehand, no. That's true.
Like,
unless you're like Aston or something like that, yeah.
He's cresting at the right time. He's getting the crowd with him. He's displaying unbelievable shot making off both wings. Whether or not Fonseca wins this match, he's here and he's legit. And then after 4 amazing points, he guesses wrong on a serve and gets torched by Rublev. It's like this is like watching a superhero, like a baby superhero, discover their powers right now.
Was he beaten by a radioactive spider?
I don't believe that he's denied that in an interview, so who knows? Oh, did Rublev miss that? Yep.
Next time
Fonseca serving at 5-1.
I'll definitely ask. Although I might not ever see Joao Fonseca at an event. I mean, I doubt he's going to be playing more challengers in the future. If he's playing like this, if he's going to be winning matches like this, especially. Of course, still far from this, but.
I don't want to get ahead of ourselves, so I'm not going to speculate if Fonseca gets this win, how far he can go. I'm just going to stick with I'm really excited to continue watching him. I'll also say Rublev is not playing a bad match. His level is pretty darn solid. A couple of poorly timed choices on the receiving end of some just massive shots from Fonseca here and there. But it's not like Rublev, is playing a bad match. Fonseca is just at the right moments going to another level. Okay. 6-1, Rublev serving, 5 set points. I do not think that he has Fonseca exactly where he wants him. That's my analysis.
Yeah, I don't think so either. So the only point that Rublev has won so far this tiebreak was an ace, right? Yeah.
Yeah, that return at 6-1. That was a heck of a tiebreaker for the young man.
Yes, it was. And like literally, the one thing that was not clicking the entire set was the return of serve, and suddenly it just comes alive in the breaker. 4 points on return.
Yep.
One of them was that ace for Rublev, but otherwise, just goating from Fonseca. Really, 84%
So
first serve
I just
point
want to
won.
read this
Actually, more
progression.
than more than Rublev, and lots of first serves made as well. 82. Okay, that's kind of interesting.
So Fonseca wins point with forehand winner. Rublev loses point with backhand forced error. Fonseca wins point with forehand winner. Rublev loses point with forehand forced error. Ace to Rublev, the 1 point that he wins. Fonseca wins point by forcing a backhand error. Rublev loses the next point with a forced backhand error. Fonseca wins the point with the forehand error. Fonseca literally just played a perfect tiebreak in his first tiebreak in Australia against a top 10 player. That's pretty good. Holy moly.
Wasn't even playing one in the qualifying, so definitely his first indeed.
Yeah. Let's just run through some of the stats here in this first set. Fonseca had the ace advantage 7-5. He had the no double faults advantages. He made 0, and Rublev made 2. Fonseca making 82% of his first serves, on which he won 84% of points. Rublev making a more standard 62%, winning 76. I think that's the metric that I'm going to be keeping an eye on here in set number 2. Look, Fonseca is an all-world player. He's not making 82% of his first serves every single set here. At least I don't, unless I've missed something. I don't believe that to be the case. What do you think, Damien?
Yeah. I mean, obviously, it's not quite sustainable. He's not like playing them safe either. As you can see, he has got 7 aces. But yeah, I mean, it's not like he was pressured on serve. Like he was pressured a bit more than Rublev. He had the breakpoint that he had to save, and it was a very entertaining rally. But if he can maybe start actually doing stuff on return like he did in the breaker, then
Yeah.
it kind of evens out anyway. Even if his serve efficiency is not gonna be that great. Jane, to your question, if Rublev can stay in there, how durable do you think Fonseca is in a 5-setter? I mean, you literally cannot answer that. I think maybe the longest match I've ever seen from Fonseca was like 2.5 hours. So I can't tell that. I mean, I can't say that I've really seen him struggle physically all that much. Yes, there's been tough matches like a year ago or something like that. I don't know. Choinski in Estoril, for example, let's say. Fred said he's definitely quite tired there. But these matches, I don't really look at them anymore in terms of Fonseca. It's just kind of pointless to look at something that happened 12 months ago when he's made an incredible jump literally within the last month or two. And physically, yeah, we just have no idea. In fact, he's played 8 matches this year already, and 75 minutes was literally the longest it went. Like he hasn't played a match longer than 75 minutes this year. So
that's a
we just
great
don't have
stat, David.
that info. He did play at the next gen finals, obviously. A couple of 5-setters there against Fils and Menchik. I think the Menchik one, the dead rubber, which was the best dead rubber I've ever seen, hands down, was like 2 hours 20 or something like that. And obviously at the end of it, he was still holding up okay. Now, is it different to 3.5 hours outdoors? Yeah.
Here we go, getting started with set number 2. Let's see if Rublev can get back on track or if Fonseca can keep the momentum going here. Okay, extended point at 15 love. Ends with the backhand in the net from Fonseca. Will be interesting to see if that's the play, if that's the play here from Rublev. If I'm him, you're right. We don't know how Fonseca holds up over 5. There's nothing to indicate that he can't, but we also know that he hasn't done it yet. Maybe Rublev tries to extend the points here a little bit. Would be a stylistic divergence, but an interesting strategic approach.
Let me put it this way. If Fonseca goes 2 sets to love up here, he's probably winning one of the next 3. I mean, you can definitely just try to find a way to conserve energy. Even without experience in this format, I think he's probably be like just intuitive enough to know that at least one of them, he just kind of has to go all out for, and then we'll see. But of course, yeah, it is a possible way to win for Andrey. In fact, I was saying just before we started that like this is kind of their way to win for Andrey for me. because I don't think
Yeah.
he has anything on Fonseca at the moment other than literally just being able to smack the ball hard deep for about 5 hours. And we don't know that Fonseca has that ability. 5 hours, of course,
Yeah.
I'm hyperboling, but like 3.5 hours, let's say. And we don't know that
Yeah.
Fonseca has this ability.
I mean, Fonseca is just absolutely mashing the ball off both wings. Huge winner there at 30-15 to take it to 40-15. It feels like, you know, if we were to compare them to cars, like Fonseca just has a little bit more horsepower at this point. His weapons are so big. And then he misses those. Okay, Rublev battling. Got ourselves a deuce. When Jane returns from fretting in private, would love to hear your prediction on how this is going to play out. Would love to hear in the chat what you would do or what you would say to Rublev if you were in his coaching box. And to that note, Damien, you know, if you're Fonseca, do you make any adjustments or do you just keep going with what's working until proven otherwise?
I mean, it's not been a particularly tactical match, so I think that's a pretty tough question to answer in that sense as well. Like, you know, the key to the first set for Fonseca was literally to get through his service games and then fire up for a few in the decider. You know, it's not like he adjusted really. So yeah, I think obviously you just go with whatever you've been doing so far, because I just don't think there's been that many, like, even bits of tactical play that either player has gone for so far.
Yeah. One thing I'll note is that Fonseca won 5 of 6 net points and Rublev won 3 of 4 in the first. So both of them, when they get in, are winning at a really good clip. I think that part of that is they're being selective about when they choose to come in. But that would be an interesting approach to see if either of them increase their volley count here.
Yeah, I think in most cases, like, both of them just hit so hard that very often they're not gonna have to play that volley. But yeah, obviously they especially Fonseca, he feels very comfortable there. Rublev is more of a selective approacher. Like, if the opportunity arises, yes. Rublev is kind of like the Sinner of 2021-22, like Sinner before he made any further improvements in, like, getting onto, you know, further inside the court, playing the drop shot and etc. Rublev's game has kind of stuck in place for the past 5 years. Well,
I think that's one of the things that's so exciting about this up and coming generation is there's so much variety and there's comfort, you know, at every level of the court. You know, you look at the Medvedev, Tsitsipas, Zverev generation, and you look at the one, you know, the American generation with Andy Roddick. You know, they're for a long time it was just kind of bash it from the baseline with the big serve. You know, of course, Federer broke that mold to some extent. But we're just seeing so many players that are comfortable coming in, that are comfortable using creative angles that are much more than power baseliners. Very nice volley there. Nice point construction overall from Fonseca.
Yeah, I think part of it is kind of like the natural evolution of tennis. I've seen this actually. The one thing that I can applaud the PTPA for is that they released these stats that I found very interesting, which were just based on they were based on, like, the intensity of matches and how today basically it's like I don't remember the exact number, but basically playing a match in 2015 is like playing the other way around. Playing a match now is like playing like 1.7 matches or something like that in 2015. In terms of the sheer, like, distance covered, you know, and literally the intensity of play. So, like, it's been a big jump technologically. It's been a big jump game wise, and I think partially what you're saying as well, that, like, the players have to be a little bit more offensive now. They have to be closing out the points, because otherwise they literally would just, like, murder their bodies before they even turn 25.
Yeah, absolutely. It's, you know, there was this hand wringing over what is tennis going to do when the big three retire. And look, you know, I love the big three and the big four as much as the next person. But what's tennis going to do? We're going to see the game evolve. We're going to see a bunch of young talent emerge. We're going to see play styles vary. And then we're going to see a generation of copycats, just like we did before. And then we'll see a completely new thing, a generation after that. And I think that's really exciting. And I feel lucky to be a tennis fan, especially while we're still getting just a dash of Djokovic with this new generation.
Yeah, I mean, I think tennis clearly doesn't have any issues post Big Three, at least on the men's side. Well, actually, both sides really, but Sinner and Alcaraz have just literally, they came up just like right after the Big Three, and they are already so good. They are already so exciting in terms of the narratives.
Oh.
If someone like Fonseca can join them too, bring in another massive market like Brazil, yeah, I mean.
Did you see that get from Fonseca?
Yeah, I'm watching it all,
goodness.
and it's at 1 point after another amazing point here, and 150 winner there. Here we have another, just like he keeps he keeps like drilling that Rublev forehand corner with his backhand, gets to 3 break points. So 22 winners to Rublev's 11, by the way.
He just hit a 93 mile an hour, 150 kilometer backhand against the top 10 player as a teenager. That's pretty good. I think if Rublev had the belief in himself that Jane has displayed in him, I think that would be of great help to him.
Yeah.
I mean, Fonseca here, look, Rublev is not losing this match. Fonseca is grabbing the mantle and winning it. Another one. 3 break points coming up. Damien, is there a match that you've watched over the years that reminds you of this one, where you've got a young player looking to make a name for themselves? Because dare I say, feels a bit like Kyrgios playing Nadal back in the day.
Wimbledon, sure. Yeah, I think back in the day, I did actually have some experience watching Nick, because I was at his Davis Cup match earlier, like a year earlier. But at the time, I still
Fonseca with the break there.
I didn't know who that was. Like, I just remembered him. Oh, that big serving Australian dude. And then when I saw him at like Nadal, it was like very fun for me because of that experience. But still, I wasn't maybe feeling like that was the same kind of deal. I wasn't into tennis all that much yet. But there's a very clear comparison, I guess, with Alcaraz regarding the Tsitsipas match at the US Open. But that was 5 sets. That was 5 sets. And this one right now, I mean, this one right now is just pretty wild. If this really goes the way it's been going the last 20 minutes, I don't even know what to tell you. But last year, I actually made this comparison just before the start of the Australian Open, that like what I would love to see from Fonseca here at this very event is literally if he had the Menchik tournament, which is Menchik in 2024. He reaches the Canberra final. He doesn't win it. He reaches the Canberra final, but then he beats Shapovalov in the opening round and goes 5 sets with Hurkacz. Only loses that match because of his physicality. Like, he couldn't keep up. And I thought that was gonna be like a good tournament, good match with a top gun for Fonseca. Well, what we're getting right now, it's bigger. It's better. Well, let's see if he can keep it up, but everything is suggesting yes so far.
Two winners to start game number 3. The volley, the hands that he displayed, the power, the forehand. I don't want to be too over the top here for how Fonseca is playing, but this is exceptional tennis.
Yeah, I mean, this is literally just playing like this, provided that the best of 5 format won't catch him at a cold at some point. Like, playing like this, the guy could literally make the second week here easy.
Yeah, absolutely.
There is possibility for that. Of course, he still has to get through this match. This is just a set and a break lead. We don't want to get too ahead of ourselves, but there's a chance. Like, literally the way he's playing right now, this is like second week level easily.
Yeah, I mean, the power, the touch, everything he's showing. Ozon, technically, I am not staying up late. I am waking up early. But always love a shout out to my home state, North Kakalaki, North Carolina. Fonseca up 3-0 here, playing an outrageous level of tennis. I'm going to make another absurd comparison, Damien. I'm sorry. I'm feeling a little hyperbolic as it's early where I am. It feels a bit like young Marat Safin's U.S. Open run. Like that's the level that we're seeing from him today.
Who was the bigger upset, Azarenka or Tsitsipas losing round one? Honestly, very hard to say, because neither was a big upset. As in, like, yeah, maybe Vika, but at the same time, were we high on her going into this event? No, I mean, she's been also struggling for a while, especially with her health. So yeah, I don't think either is like a huge story. What was a big story was that Tsitsipas' comments after the match, when he was just like, yeah, he kind of showed us that all the motivational issues that we were thinking of for him, they are true. I didn't actually stay up all the time, Ozan. I did have more, like 2-3 more hours of sleep. So, well, sorry that I look absolutely ragged. I don't feel absolutely ragged.
I don't think you look absolutely ragged, Damian.
Thank you.
I think that realistically, though, all of our sleep schedules are messed up during the Australian Open. I mean, that is a guarantee that every January, every tennis fan in Europe, in the States, in South America, wherever, it's going to be tough.
Yeah, I really like that pep talk from Jane as well. That one that she would give to Rublev about like, you have Sonego next, so fight. I don't think any coach would ever like say, you know, in the next round you have that guy while they're still playing this match. But I do like kind of the fun aspect of it for sure. And wow, I mean, what the hell are we watching right now? Joao
He's just got to find a way to slow
Andrey
it down.
Rublev?
I don't know what he can do to. I mean, you know, maybe try and extend the points, play slow, just something to slow the momentum. It's, you know, it's love 30 here. Fonseca is in the back of his mind, I'm sure, thinking about going up a second break here.
Yeah, pretty much securing the set if he does that. But there's ace service winner, however you want to call it, from Rublev. I think Fonseca might have touched it. I like the one about you are more durable than most any other player out there from Jane, though. Like, that's kind of what you have to say to Rublev right now, because it doesn't seem like anything else is important at the moment. Like, you're kind of getting blown off the court, so you probably have to mention some of that. Yeah, like resilience, durability. You know, you are a fighter, you can kind of stick around, and that's what Rublev is trying to do, just kind of survive, see if Fonseca cracks, maybe even this set. Maybe there's still hope if he can get this game.
Okay, back to 30 all. You know, Rublev battling, working to stay in there. Maybe Fonseca is cooling off a little bit after a series of heat checks and massive attempts.
There's some
I did not notice, actually.
Carousel on Twitter, bearing injuries, Fonseca top 10 in 18 months. I don't know if you know who Carousel is.
Oh yeah, of course. The journeyman working his way into the in the challenger circuit.
Exactly, yeah. A fellow tennis YouTuber, around 250 in the rankings now. He says that Fonseca will be top 10 in 18 months. I gotta give it to him when he said last year, after playing Giovanni Pericard, he said last year that GMP was gonna be top 50 by the end of the season, and well, he was top 50 by like Wimbledon. So, well, maybe
I think just like with GMP, I expect that to be sooner. Top 10, and I think by the end of this year with the level that we're seeing.
Really?
We got a break point right now for Fonseca.
That's interesting, because earlier we were saying how, like, you know, his style of play for now is kind of unsustainable. So do you expect it to change?
I think, you know, I think you pointed out correctly. He is a different player than he was a month ago. He is a completely different player.
Talking about Fonseca.
Yeah.
GMP. Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Oh yeah. GMP. I think
I kind of agree. I mean, playing like this, we were talking about like him breaking top 50 this year. Like, top 50 is looking like a low target at the moment, regardless of if he wins this match or not.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look at that. Look at that inside out backhand winner return of serve at deuce against number 9 in the world, Andrey Rublev. Yeah, he just can do stuff that cannot be taught.
so important for Fonseca here to really grab this game and basically be able to forget about the second set already. Let's see if he can do that on the stretch.
Rublev, big forehand.
Yeah, I mean,
oh, wow.
I guess one of the ways you can actually beat Fonseca right now is to really get him moving, get him on the stretch. He's got some similar footwork patterns to like Sinner, especially the backhand open stance, but it's all like it has to be polished. It's not really there yet, but there are some like basic elements of it. But the problem is like that Rublev is just getting out hit for the most part in this match, so he cannot really exploit that for now. And that's also like usually Rublev is not the guy getting out hit. Rublev is the guy who just keeps up that ball pressure every single time in the rally and is able to just kind of overwhelm you like this with his constant influx of pace.
Fonseca guessing wrong on the serve there at deuce. There have been a couple moments where he's done that, where he'll guess wrong, but there's an awful lot more where he's guessing right. And I wonder what he's reading in Rublev's serve to make those judgment calls about when to jump early, particularly on the first. Okay, Rublev with a tough hold, but a hard fought will end there.
Part of the game that I sometimes wonder about, because I don't know, like when you're playing, I don't feel like I ever really, read anything from the other player in terms of the serve direction. Obviously, at the amateur level, you have a lot of time to react. But I've actually had an opponent before, like, tell me that, well, how are you guessing where I'm gonna serve? And I'm like, am I? So maybe this is also something that comes kind of subconsciously, Maybe this isn't something you think about. Of course, we were talking about Andrey Agassi, and this is a famous example of that Boris Becker tongue, right? That in his case, at least, or in this particular matchup, he had this like tell that he was able to basically determine where Boris was going to serve based on, and he never told it to anybody before using his autobiography, I think. But yeah, I think in most cases it's just instinctive, probably.
Rublev with a big forehand there.
Just like you wouldn't be able to say, like in a rally, you wouldn't be able to say, okay, so this is why I know that the guy is going cross court now. This is just what you feel based on how he's setting up for the shot.
Well, one thing I'll throw out there, particularly at the amateur level, you watch the pro toss and it's in the same place every time. Doesn't matter if it's a kick serve, doesn't matter if it's a slice, doesn't matter if it's flat. They toss the ball with within an inch of the same spot every time. At the amateur level, a lot of time the other player, even at UTR 6 or 7, sometimes they don't really know where their serve is going. And by reading their toss, you can get a pretty good idea of where it's going to go. If they toss it a little further away from their body, it's going to come out wide because it's going to be a slice. If they toss it too far behind their head, it's on the ad side, it's going out wide because they're going to put a little bit of kick on it. And I've had a pretty good success rate with that. Ooh.
Yeah,
close miss.
That's actually fair. I think I don't really pay that much attention to it because personally I have a very low toss. So like there's no difference in it because it's always low. So maybe that's why I don't really pay that much attention to it. But yeah, that's fair. Like if your opponent, sometimes you can see at the amateur level that like your opponent is just he's gonna have to just dive for the ball almost. and yeah, then you definitely can have a bit of an idea.
Ozon pointed out in the chat that Andrey probably had similar things for other players too, and I never thought about that, but he's right. We know of the Becker example. What about all the ones we don't know about? Wow, what a point here from Rublev to take it to deuce. He look to his credit, he has raised his level. 14-shot rally, huge balls for both of them. Fonseca showing off his defense a little bit. You're right. There is a similar movement pattern there to Sinner. I wonder perhaps if Fonseca spent a little bit of time skiing as well as a youngster.
Yeah, we'd have 3 skiers at the top of the professional sport then. But yeah,
that's the
I mean,
key.
he definitely spent some time watching Sinner, or at least with his coaches probably analyzing that. Well, there's going to be a breakpoint for Rublev now, so that's kind of the danger that we were talking about earlier. You don't get that double break. and then the set isn't quite done yet.
I've heard that.
It's quite a point now. Yeah.
I've heard it said that 3-0 is one of the most deceptive scores in sports, and I agree with that statement, because look, one break, it's not that much, and we're potentially about to see why here. I want to go back to something Jane said in the chat a few minutes ago, that Safin has helped Rublev manage his emotions, and I think, I did not know that. Huge, miss there on the first serve from Fonseca. But I think that totally makes sense. Who better to empathize and understand and advise than a fellow player who has dealt with some of the same challenges that Rublev has with the mental
Fellow
game.
player who didn't master managing his emotions, but maybe not.
Not quite. How many rackets? 1,055 broken rackets?
Something like that. At least we know
That's
Rublev isn't partying until 4 a.m. and coming onto the court in a Grand Slam final hangover. That's not even because he won't make a Grand Slam final, as he always loses in the quarters. That's just because he's not the type of guy.
I think also, to his credit, though, there have been moments in this match where he could have imploded, where he could have lost his head. And certainly we've seen him express frustration. Say it.
Probably previous game, mostly.
Yeah. He's expressed frustration, but he has not had a meltdown yet. And I know that he has talked, openly about how he believes he's improved his mental health, and it's an ongoing process, but he's working on it. And I think we're seeing that. Fonseca is fired up there and getting the crowd fired up too. This is I believe, our first 5-minute game of the match.
Honestly, even the
or
tie
amongst
break
our first.
probably didn't last 5 minutes. The previous game could have been about 5 minutes too, but yeah. Of course, Rublev had another breakpoint this game. I think the big difference compared to like this, the one from the first set, was that in the one in the first set, like Fonseca, yeah, he was back in the point after defending for so long, but at least the error kind of felt earned by Fonseca. It was such an intense rally. Rublev is trying to just like turn it around basically at will. Yeah, he's gonna go for a bigger shot. He's gonna go for something risky. But here, it wasn't earned. Like here, he just gave Joao a cheap error at breakpoint, and that's kind of that's the sad part about this, because he easily could have been back on serve.
Yep. Totally. Okay, this second set, it's not as close per se, but the level has gone up, and I think this is a more fun set of tennis for the viewer than the first, which was not serve bot territory, but a series of relatively easy holds.
Yeah, Joao especially was doing nothing on return in the opening set. It wasn't particularly exciting, but since the tiebreak, the match has fired up, and coincidentally, it's also the part when Rublev started losing. But that's just because Joao has really raised his level.
Yeah, Ozan asks if the 5-set win for Leonard Tien was the first of his career. I believe that is the case, but I don't know for sure. Damien, do you know if that's right?
Sorry. What
was that 5-setter for Leonard Tien the first 5-set win of his career, or did he get one?
I mean, he only played the U.S. Open main draw 3 times. 2022 against Kecmanovic, he lost in 4. 2023, he lost in 3 to Francis Tiafoe, and this year he lost in 4 to Arthur Fils. Unless you want to count the next gen finals, which is technically best of 5 sets, it's just the fast 4 format, where he defeated Jakub Menšík in the opening match, and Fils was in 4. Mikkelsen was in 4, and he also lost to Fonseca twice. So yeah, I mean, technically he beat Menšík in 5 sets, but whether you want to count it Ozan or not, that's kind of your call. But yeah, otherwise, I mean, he just hasn't picked up any wins in the best of 5 set play. So yes.
Yeah. One thing I will toss out there, we've been spending all this time building Fonseca up, and I think rightfully so. I do notice that he's got the tape on his shoulder, which you can see through that sheer on shirt, which, back to James' point earlier, might not be the best. That is a questionable style that is already so see-through. But you can see the dark tape on his shoulder there. You also see he has, I believe, at least 4 of his fingers bandaged up, And I hope that that is preemptive to prevent blisters. But you have to imagine that blisters are factoring into his calculus, whether that's preventative or whether it's managing stuff that he's already got going on. That is a thing that no matter how talented you are, can take somebody out of the rhythm. Famously, Safin at the French Open dealt with severe blisters. We've seen any number of other players, particularly young players early in their career, struggle with that. I hope that that's not the case. I don't think we have any reason to believe that it is right now, other than that's an awful lot of tape that he's got there.
Yeah, I think blisters are kind of, a big part of professional tennis. It's just what it is. Not even professionally. Like, honestly, I still have blisters on my fingers. I play tennis like maybe once a month, and I still have blisters from the last time I did. So
Yeah.
I just don't think they're ever going to like recover at this point. I've really had them for like a year or two now. But yeah, these guys, they very often, of course, have some tape on their fingers. I wonder if Fonseca has it too, right? If I saw it correctly here, or yeah, I think Fonseca has a couple of fingers as well. So yeah,
sorry, that's what I mean. Fun.
Oh, you meant Fonseca and Rublev. Okay, never mind.
Yes. Sorry.
Okay, never mind. I thought you were talking about Rublev for some reason. But yeah, I don't think we've seen any indication, and it's gonna be very common that players are gonna be playing with blisters. Sometimes, of course, they get a little bit too rough. Like, I don't know, Marin Cilic Wimbledon final. But that was on the feet though, rather than the hands, which is probably even tougher. But yeah, we haven't seen any indication that they are actually painful. So he probably just has them, and it's nothing serious anyway.
Rublev taking a huge cut of that serve at 30 love here. And I don't know if that was a frustration cut or a desperation cut or just anything to try and get him back in this game here. Fonseca looking to close it out at 40 love and does so to go up 5-2. He is one game away from a 2-set lead against world number 9, Andrey Rublev.
And
you got to feel for Rublev with this draw.
A Fonseca match has gone over the 75-minute mark for the first time in 2025.
I feel for Rublev. You do everything that you can, right, to be a top 10 player, to get a good seed, and and you get Fonseca, you could have got you get a qualifier in Fonseca. It's unfortunate for Rublev, and even if he is able to come back and win this match, which I think would be a huge confidence boost for him, and just a great win against a very talented player, it is just it's an unfavorable draw. No two ways about it.
Yeah, I mean, we were looking at a few guys who were going to be like the most dangerous and seeded players in Australia. Probably Nick, even though we didn't know much about his physical state. Probably Opelka, probably Fonseca indeed. But of course, with Fonseca, we had some other concerns. And so far, looks like these concerns have just been very quickly pushed aside. Maybe he's still going to win this, but if it is going to be a loss, and especially a straight set loss for Rublev, I think it's actually one of the toughest ones to handle. If you're like a top 10 player, still without your first Grand Slam, in his case, even a semifinal, but like still basically with things you think you can achieve in your career. And then you kind of just run into someone who is, for all intents and purposes, just a superior talent. And you just feel like there's not that much you can do. Like there's really, I'm never going to be as good as that guy. That's kind of what you might feel after a loss like this. If it is going to be straight sets, if there's no comeback here. So, I think even though you run into somebody who's like that good, I think it has to be pretty tough to handle if you're that sort of a guy where you're like not really thinking of, like, I don't know, if you're a guy, let's say Daniel Altmaier, you're not going to have the same thing because you know that there are more players on the tour who you probably won't be able to touch on a regular basis. I mean, you're just pretty much used to it. Whereas Rublev, I mean, he has to feel that he still has another gear in him.
Right. Totally agree. So just answer a quick question in the chat. In Melbourne right now, it's low 20s Celsius, low 70s in Fahrenheit. So it's a pretty temperate evening. It's not a scorcher. I don't think that even if this were to go 5, the cramps are going to factor in all likelihood for these players. Certainly could, but the conditions are pretty great tennis conditions overall. Oof, Rublev, pretty darn solid game there to make it 3-5. He's showing flashes of what it would take for him to get back into the match. Want to touch on something that Ozan put in the chat about young Iva Jovic. He's predicting that in 2 years she'll be a top 20 player. I think that's a pretty darn reasonable prediction. I mean, over the course of her junior career, she has shown flashes of talent, gotten some big wins. And she's 17. Her birthday is not until December. She's so young to already be at this level. It would suggest that she's got what it takes to get to that. The tour and the lifestyle, it's a challenge for anybody. But I think that Ozan's prediction is likely going to be correct. Damien, what do you think?
To be honest with you, I don't know her game all that well. I mean, I've watched her in some of the US Open juniors. I've watched her at the US Open in the pros, beating Magdalena. I will kind of refrain from making any call, but I thought it was nice to just kind of highlight this one from Ozan. I wonder what he thinks about her chances against Rybakina, who has a pretty interesting draw in the sense that she's facing two big junior prospects in a row. Of course, yesterday or today, actually beating Emerson Jones, and now going to play Iva Jovic in the second round. I mean, ultimately, it's probably a good draw for her, just simply because they're not Fonseca yet. They're not that sort of level of pro ready. Whereas still, it's quite exciting, of course, anytime we're going to see a young gun clash against one of the top seeds.
Yeah. Corentin Moutet up 2 sets in a break. Fonseca up 30 love here, looking to close out the set against Andrey.
That's a big win for Daniil Medvedev, I think, if Moutet wins. Popyrin looked like a serious threat in his draw, third round. And this could just give Daniil a bit more time to recover. Daniil could feasibly play Kasidit Samre, whom, of course, he lost 2 sets to. I don't really understand how Kasidit Samre found this level earlier today. But anyway, he lost
World 400, correct?
Yeah, 412 or something like that. Yeah, at least I think that maybe was his ranking when he won the wildcard in the Asia Pacific playoff. But
really quick, Damien.
Next round he would have Tien and then Moutet, for example, in the third round. These are just very, let's say, low power opponents he would play chess matches against, but probably no one who can really kick him out. And that would be a big win for him in that sense. I think Popyrin has a great chance to go for a deep round, but has to beat Moutet first. And, junk bowling is pretty strong against Alexei. Moutet has a great record against him. By the way, enough on Moutet. I mean, Joao Fonseca, 6-3 in 37 minutes. 13 winners to Rublev's 8. 6 unforced errors to Rublev's 8. 74% on the first serve still. So he hasn't dropped all that much.
Look at the total distance. He's moving Rublev around more than he's being moved around. With the sprints and total distance stats for Rublev. That first serve, I mean, look, I thought that he was going to come down to the 60s and maybe the low 60s even with his first serve percent. I would like to see him get a set where he is back down to earth with that first serve. If you're serving 75+% for a full match, that's a pretty darn good number. I think let's see if we can keep this level up in 3. I actually think that Rublev might be able to go out and get this third set and get back into it because of that first serve percentage number from Fonseca. Until we see him win a set with where he's not firing on the first, I'm skeptical that he'll be able to close this out in straight sets.
Yeah, I mean, as you said, it's a game of slim margins, and Fonseca saved 1 breakpoint each only in the first 2 sets.
Yeah.
But literally give Rublev that point. And suddenly we have a very different outcome probably because Rublev is serving at 5-3 in the first, and here we are still playing in that second set. So it's not like Joao has been completely dominating it with Rublev having absolutely no shot, but he's definitely been the better player so far. And I think even for me is a huge Fonseca believer. The thing that's kind of surprising me is what you mentioned about distance run and everything. Just in general, how little we have in terms of points where Fonseca is on the stretch is defending against the Rublev pace. It just hasn't had any impact on him whatsoever. And that's one of the biggest parts here. As I said, I think there's some good stuff in the Fonseca defensive game, but it's still very much a work in progress. And Rublev is not able to expose that so far. He's just literally getting out-hit by the youngster.
That's a missed opportunity on that second serve there from Fonseca with just sprayed the ball. Selfishly, I believe that Rublev can win this set. I would like him to because I'm just not ready for this match to be over. I'm having so much fun chatting with you, Damien, chatting with the folks in the chat, and also just the level of both these players in that second set was phenomenal. Rublev, both, of course, with areas for improvement, but this is great tennis that we're seeing here.
Yeah, I mean, no disagreement from me there. I thought we were gonna be here for like the long haul, and right now, it's possible that it's gonna be over in like 40 minutes. Of course, it very much is in the open still for both players, but yeah, I mean, if it ends in 40 minutes, like that's a possibility we have to be kind of ready for at this stage.
Yeah, I'm mourning with just the possibility this might be over in 40 minutes. It makes me sad. Rublev serving at 15:30 here. Fonseca applying pressure early.
If he loses this game here, like the possibility is gonna get very real.
Yeah. Here we go.
And that's why, like, if it is straight sets for Fonseca, it would be very hard to compare this to anything. I believe, like again, Alcaraz Tsitsipas US Open, that was 5 sets. I don't think Sinner at the very beginning of his career had a win like this at the Grand Slam over a Top Gun. I mean, he was definitely developing a little bit more slowly. Rune, I don't think he had something like this either, really, right away. So it's recently at least. I mean, Federer had the Sampras win, obviously, but that was also competitive. That was very different. I can't really say Novak or Rafa had a win like this. Again, Rafa was so good in his first round, Garros edition already, but we knew that he is already one of the best players on clay. He wasn't the favorite against Federer in the final, but it was in the semis. Sorry, but still, it was a semi-final. It was so different to this story. So I'm kind of struggling to find a comparison to this.
Wow.
If
I agree. I mean, Fonseca with a break point here. Now Rublev comes up with a huge serve to neutralize that threat. Let's see what happens as we enter the deuce points. I knew Fonseca was 18. I didn't realize that his birthday isn't until August. Yeah. I mean, he's 18 for basically the full season. He's so young. He is younger, I think, than Alcaraz when Alcaraz really first emerged.
Depends on what we mean by first emerged. Like
when he started to win big matches against top 10 players.
Was the first top 10 win for Alcaraz against Stefanos at the US Open? Probably.
So I guess so. How old was he? 19?
No, 18. And 18. How many months? His birthday is like what, May or something like that, right? So he was about the same age, I guess. A little younger than Fonseca, like a month or two younger.
Yeah. Gosh, we're seeing the return of the Wonderkins to tennis. The teenagers are back. We're going to get 2 full tennis seasons out of Fonseca as a teenager.
Carlos was 17 when he reached the Australian Open as the Roland Garros third round, but I don't think he had a significant win over there. So yeah, probably that Tsitsipas win again is like the most direct comparison we have. Also, that was the third round of the US Open, and it was 5 sets. So
yeah,
still very much unclear if this one goes the distance. And well, I mean, Fonseca still might not win this.
Sure. Rublev fighting off another break point, back to deuce. Yeah. Oh, you've seen something I haven't. Is there a double fault coming in?
Yeah.
Yeah, there it is. I could feel it in your voice. And there he is, John Silk.
It's like such a crucial game for Andrey, and Fonseca actually. Well, he did kind of save the previous 2 breakpoints. I guess Rublev saved with good serves, but
we got a cameo.
If it looks like I'm wearing a robe, it's because I am wearing a robe, and it's a new for Talking Tennis. I've never entered the stream wearing a robe before. I just wish that Jake was here because I know he would appreciate it. And another rarity.
Like he just left the spa.
Another rarity. Another rarity.
I think he looks like he's still, at some sort of a massager.
Yeah, what's the story, John?
Well, yeah, I mean, Damien, is familiar with me on the stream, basically in a very relaxed manner, as in like lying, lounging, sofas, beds, floors, you name it. On this occasion, it is just me basically lying down in bed, but I've been propped up like a hospital patient, which to some extent I feel like given the time zones and everything else. But by the way, another rarity is that I'm ahead of you. So, Damien, what can you see on your screen right now?
Change over 6 different matches. They're showing like them in the multi-screen.
Rublev is serving at add-in for me.
Yeah.
On
So you actually maybe you've jumped ahead of me because I'm still at love 1 or 1 love. Yeah, love 1. Oh no, you're behind. Yeah, because I got Fonseca about to say.
Yeah. I think Zach has now gotten like more, progressively more behind again.
Yeah,
let me refresh my stream here.
I heard you begin the stream by talking about if you're at the US Open. I thought that was very amusing. By the way, I watched 4 games and I was kind of Zach level of misinterpretations of tennis matches because I watched the first 4 games. I saw how they walked on court. I started to have doubts about Fonseca's ability to push Rublev. And so I started like making mutterings to myself. I think I made a few comments in the live chat about, well, Fonseca's not been in this kind of situation for a couple of months where he's being pushed, if you like. And it's kind of felt like unknown territory. Plus, I thought, he's never played someone of Rublev's level. I talked myself into a rather comfortable win for Andrey. And then I saw the score at 6-all, and I thought, okay. But then he ran away with the second set. Ran away with, it sounds like a bit of an exaggeration, bearing in mind what you said about 10 minutes ago about it kind of being just 1 or 2 points in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I guess
not only am I behind in my stream.
I should address you. It's my fault. Go on, Zach. You're a bit behind, but also
not only am I behind in my stream, I have lost my stream entirely at the moment.
Oh.
So you will probably get less. No. This has been a continual issue since, and this is something I'm sure any tennis fan can relate to. It's a global sport. Every country has licensing rules and streaming. And
wait till you see this if you haven't seen it already. You're going to see a very lethargic Andrey Rublev, in my opinion, just looking like a beaten soul, and then he literally was beaten by that forehand.
Wow.
I mean, it was there to be attacked, so maybe I'm getting carried away with all the hype. But are you behind me, Damien?
Yeah, because I chose the stream so that I'm closer to Zach.
Yeah, I can't manipulate because I'm watching on TV, hence my speed. But yeah.
Yeah, on the one I usually use, I also can't manipulate it at all. So I just chose one that's a little further behind.
Oh, when your luck is out, your luck is out. Oh, Rublev, that face. Oh, no. I feel another Guardian article coming on. Great interview. Duncan McRae, I think or Donald McRae is the guy who does that. He's one of the best interviewers that is out there, actually.
Question for y'all: does this court have a roof?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it's not on tonight, but it does. Yeah.
Yeah.
There are 3 courts with roofs in Melbourne. The 3 main ones. So Rod Laver, Margaret Court, and John Cain. Kia Arena and 1573 are already roofless.
If I'm Rublev's coach, that's what I'm hoping for. A rain dance.
Now, this is not an exaggeration of a reaction. You wait.
I suppose it's a reaction to a Fonseca point rather than to a Rublev point.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah. I mean, I would react that way, but Rublev is not capable.
I don't know. It's just what I've been watching in this match, Oh, okay. Okay. I don't know what to say, really. I wasn't expecting that. I thought it was going to be a return based on your reaction. I don't know. Something just told me it's going to be a massive return, and it kind of was. But what the hell was Andrey doing? I don't know.
You mean you think the serve was just ridiculous, or he just wasn't bothering to? I mean, he wasn't getting much on that anyway. I mean, that was just flying past him before he knew it.
Yeah. I'm just not sure what his idea for that was. Anyway, never mind.
I think he's given. No, I don't want to say that, but I think he's certainly feeling it right now, even though he shouldn't be, because he's going to bring up game point. It's on serve. He gets a break. By the way, that's actually my main question for you, because I actually, as I say, have missed large chunks of this match. Damien, has he had many looks on the Fonseca serve?
1 breakpoint each in the
Oh,
in the first
wow.
2 sets.
Oh, wow. Okay. So when you were talking about fine margins, wow, you weren't exaggerating at all.
One thing
Well,
I'll say,
yeah,
Josh,
because
his
if he
serve make
breaks
rate.
there,
Go on, Damien, sorry.
no, I was just trying to say that if he breaks there in the opening set, there was a very long point that he can't break on. Fonseca has a smash, but it's a pretty tough one. It's not good enough, and Rublev takes over in that point and misses the forehand cross. So basically, like if he breaks there, he's leading 5-3 and serving for the set. And in the second set, if he breaks sets 1-3, then maybe we are still in that second set, right? So
Yeah.
that's what I meant with fine margins. That like
Yeah.
there were actually opportunities there for Andrey, and both of them he committed a forehand unforced error. On one of these points, it felt like it was earned because the rally was so long. On the other,
Yeah.
it was pretty cheap. So it might not seem like fine margins when I'm saying just 1 breakpoint each, but it kind of has been. But at the same time, you just know that, yes, Fonseca has been the dominant party in this match.
Zach, at the change of ends, I want you to tell me, just want you to say one word to me, and that one word is coffee, okay? That's all I want you to say at the change of ends. In fact, you don't even need to tell me because I'm sorry. I'm not going to spoil any more spoilers for you, Zach, but there is now a change of ends, and Andrey has held serve.
Coffee.
But, coffee, thank you, Zach. So, my memory's bad, by the way, but it's not that bad. Yeah, Zach, I reckon, and I'm pretty sure we've never had this conversation before, but I've got some coffee vibes from you in that you are a fan of the brown stuff.
So, I will say I was born caffeinated is kind of my joke. I did not start drinking coffee until, I don't know, maybe a year and a half ago. And
Okay.
I'm in my
Wow.
30s now. I need it, but I can't drink it afternoon. I will say I normally have a giant pot of coffee in the morning when I'm at home in Buenos Aires in Argentina. They just do coffee differently. Not better or worse, but different. And
Have you tried mate yet, by the way, Zach?
I have not. My wife and I are hoping to do a mate tasting sometime next week, though, where we'll sample a bunch of different things. I think, though, in the Australian Open viewing period, it is an essential part of being a tennis fan. Because I got up today at about 5:30 to get on the stream at 6 something or other. And here we are, it's still 8:23 a.m. my time. What time is it where y'all are coming in from? And then what time is it for folks in the chat where you're watching?
Both for Damien and I, it's 12:23. Yeah, let us know in the live chat where you're tuning in from. I'm actually going to bring us back to tennis, by the way, as I see a wayward forehand from Joao Fonseca. I'm going to bring us back to tennis because mate can actually do so in a very smart way. And I was watching Mariano Navoni practice in the build-up to the Hamburg Open last year, and his physio and I shared a mate. I've no idea how to make it. It's one of those things that I just gets handed around. It's like a social thing, isn't it? It's like there are other things, by the way, that get handed around in a social manner that are quite similar and actually do give off a very similar vibe. But I'll let our audience guess what that is as I see Joao Fonseca make amends with a lovely +1 forehand. Oh, I can see under Joao's t-shirt. I don't know if you've spotted this, Damien. He is wearing a sort of shoulder sticky big plaster thing. I don't know if you know what I mean. I don't think it's anything to worry about. It's probably just to sort of stabilize the shoulder. Do you know what I'm talking about, Damien?
There. Okay. Yeah. I mean, they are tennis players. They always have some tape on.
Yeah. Anyway, well, maybe, just maybe, this match might be about to get interesting. I'm clutching. There's straws and I'm clutching at them. So don't get too excited about the scoreline you're about to witness.
I am excited to say that my stream is back, and I got to tell you, it's nice. Missing a single point of this match it was agonizing because the level has been so high. Rublev with a very, very tasty forehand there to put a little bit of pressure on Fonseca's serve on my stream. I've got it at Fonseca's serving at 15:30.
Yeah.
I've just seen the unreturned serve to go 30 all.
I'm now watching 30 all point.
I am entering 30 all. I am not going to refresh my stream again because I would rather be behind than
Stay
not in
with
the
it.
stream at all. Yeah.
Tell us what you think. So you're at 30 all. Tell us what you think about this next point, Zach.
Let's see. Here we go. Second serve from Fonseca. 30 all. Backhand from Rublev. Backhand up the line, Fonseca. And in the net from Fonseca. Well, here's what I think about that point. I think that we have seen his immense strengths and weapons. And I think that we've also seen some moments where he looks like an 18-year-old who's very talented, but still has an 18-year-old brain, which is not even close to done developing yet.
Damien, would you put that down as a forced error, that forehand into the net? I would. That's my gut feeling, having seen it once.
Probably not. I'm not.
Ooh,
sure
is this?
quite... But well, third breakpoint of the match, and okay, yeah, he saves it again. This time, though, I can't complain about Rublev's performance in the rally.
No.
I mean, this
Neutral
is just
position.
pulling the trigger in a way that nobody is gonna get to. So, yeah,
that is a guy with just confidence coursing through his veins.
Look at how he's working the crowd as well. At such a young age, he's doing a great job, not just getting him on his side, but getting them into it. It's not that Andrey Rublev is playing Joao Fonseca. He's playing the whole stadium at this point.
The reaction from Rublev on the replay was pretty fun as well. Just kind of like, what am I supposed to do? But, well, he still got a little bit of time here. As he's got another break point, of course, fourth of the match. All three have been saved by the Brazilians so far. It's a good return, that's for sure. But he dumps the forehand into the middle of the net. Yeah, that's another cheapish error that he's giving Joao here.
Cheapish, yes.
Yeah.
It was a good pickup from Fonseca, like, honestly. That the return easily could have been enough already.
Look at those.
Are you all starting to see that? I mean, certainly I would be frustrated if I was Rublev. Starting to see cracks in his reaction to that point, understandably so. But I worry that we might be heading towards a Rublev meltdown here in a couple games.
I don't know. I
think he doesn't really seem close to a meltdown, does he?
No, I don't think so either. I just think that it's more despondence that I've been watching in his face since the beginning of this set. And I think he may have finally just taken. I'm not saying that we're going to be going the whole of 2025 not seeing any meltdowns from him, but I do think the regularity might at least. You can't come out and say some of the things he's been saying over the last 12 months. You just look, people won't believe you if you keep telling everyone that you've made this improvement, that improvement, and you're not feeling this anymore. And then you just go and, show the opposite. So I do. And today I don't get those vibes yet. Listen, who knows? I mean, I'm not a psychologist here and be able to tell. I just think he looks pretty pissed off.
I mean, he's frustrated, but not in that way. Like, of course, this is pretty weird for me to say here, as looks like he's going to have another break point. But, like, more like if he loses this game, I think we're going to see more despair rather than, angry meltdown and hitting himself with the racket or anything like that. Because he's just kind
another
of
break point for Rublev.
Maybe the frustration where you're like super angry at yourself, it kind of comes in when you know exactly what you want to do and just can't execute it. Whereas here, he's just kind of out of ideas. But he does have this fifth break point. I've heard in this game already. So if he can break here, that would finally turn the match around, at least for a bit. And what are we going to see here? He's got Fonseca on the move at the very least. That's something. And he's going to get the break. Now, that's another example, I guess, of like, it is a forced error. But, Fonseca in a year from here, he gets to that ball easily and he does something with it. But Rublev has not been able to put him on the defense enough today. He does finally. And, well, the chance is there to keep going now and to maybe take this set.
I've got some breaking news. Both Rublev breaking at the same time as Denis Shapovalov. I think, is that him extending that dominance he has over Roberto Bautista? Is it now 4-0?
Yeah, but he lost the set already. He lost the set finally.
Yeah, because he hadn't lost the set until today. Yeah, true. But it's now 4-0, I think.
10-1 in sets, yeah.
But another good win for Chapo. Obviously, his form since probably October has been pretty good. That's obviously, comparing it to the previous 3 years. But
I don't know if we can say that. I mean, yeah, he won the title, but like his start to the season was actually just nightmare again.
I'm still thinking it might be better than the last 3 years. But yes, winning his first title in a couple of years certainly.
Yeah,
Maybe.
I don't think if I probably didn't watch him play Marcos Giron in Adelaide then.
No, he did not. No.
Yeah.
They say it's not a break until you hold.
Belgrade, November, yes.
Zach, indeed. Go ahead.
They say it's not a break until you hold, and now it's love 30, Rublev serving. Fonseca applying a little bit of pressure here. Let's see if he can get that break back.
Shapovalov, by the way, had 24 aces and 15 double faults. Speaking of double faults, that's also what Andrey is doing now, love 40. But what I was going to say is that it's actually funny you mentioned that, because I was thinking about this the other day. Like, I saw someone on Twitter mention that a player was up a break in the deciding set, but they were up a break as in like they got a game and then, it was right back to the other player. So I don't think you can really call it a break in that sense. You can't call it a break lead, at least. When this happens, I usually try to say in like articles that he was briefly up a break or something like that.
Big serve from Rublev to fight off one of those break points. We had a question in the chat from Sean Power. Would we rather see this go 5 or a fresh Fonseca go into the next rounds? Something to ponder for the two of y'all. John, what do you think?
Well, I'm going to turn the camera back on. Actually, there's something more important for me than that, which is just basically my own well-being in terms of sleep. I'm right now on the I really am on the Australian time zone. That's not normally what I would do, but this week I have been basically sleeping after the last ball drops and then sleeping until 8-9 o'clock local time for me, which is obviously 7 a.m. I guess in Melbourne, and that's the time zone. But I'm actually also sleeping about 4 hours, 5 hours a night as well, or a day. So I am gonna flip that. But that's probably my biggest sort of thought. If I was just watching this in the same, I'd be fine, because I don't think Fonseca's going to come undone in the first week of this slam because of fatigue. I don't think. Whether he plays 5 sets today, and I think didn't Damien suggest
advances, right? Because I mean, if you want Rublev to advance, then definitely you want 5-setter.
Yeah.
But if you want Fonseca, if Fonseca is to advance, then I think it would be much better for the rest of the event if he won in 3.
Yeah, but so
the
actually, I'm
opportunity
not.
in the draw is there. Like the
wow.
Yes, you've just seen that.
We've got 3 different reactions to that Fonseca return winner. There was and there's the wow from Zach, and I was just like, just reacting silently. But indeed, a 4th breakpoint for Fonseca. He did kind of waste these 3 opportunities. Can he get the 4th one? Well, Rublev had some advantage early on in the point, forced him to slice, didn't really use it, and now it's Fonseca stepping in again. Really should be getting this done, and he is. Honestly, pretty weak effort from Andrey here to just get broken right back.
Yeah.
The first time he gets an actual lead in this match. Yeah. I mean, of course, it was Fonseca claiming a couple of good points from deuce, but the fact that it even went to that love 40, right? That was just not what he needed at the moment.
Damien, did you know that Lexi donated 5 memberships again?
Yes, she did. We did highlight it later, earlier.
Cool.
Sorry.
And now Jane, it's like Christmas all over again. Jane has donated $5 as well. So yeah, I'm sure
after the break, I think, yeah.
Is Jane sort of? But I see. Sorry, Jane, because of course she has, a soft spot for Andrey. So yeah, and seeing that reaction from Joao, honestly, you'd think he'd got a crucial break up in the 5th. The way he reacted there, I don't know. This is not exactly a bold prediction. This is not coming from a bold Vance school of thoughts. But I don't see Joao losing now. I don't see him.
John, we are on the opposite ends.
Go on.
Sorry, go ahead, Damien.
No, go ahead.
Go on, Dan.
Oh, so I made a prediction that Rublev might get this setback, because I'm trying to keep my streak of getting every single prediction I've ever made on Talking Tennis wrong going. And I think that that's going to continue. I totally agree. Now that Fonseca's gotten this break back, any momentum that Rublev was able to fight for, and to his credit, he has fought throughout. He's playing hard. He's doing everything that he can do. He's raised his level. Fonseca has just raised his level right alongside of him. You've got to imagine psychologically that was a really tough break for Rublev.
Did you see that forehand?
On the screen right now, by the way.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Did you see that forehand stat, Damien?
Fastest forehand of the tournament. Fonseca ahead of Becci Peri Cardinal Caras. Gotta tweet that out, to be honest. Yeah, I mean, the only thing well, basically what I wanted to say is that, like, to lose 3 sets from here, Fonseca would have to, like, seriously deflate at some point, mentally, physically, whichever, really. It's possible, but it's also not looking that likely. Like, I think if he has 3 sets to go at it, he probably wins one of them.
Fonseca is just mashing the ball.
That mental reaction from Rublev, in the sense that, he got the break. He got something he worked really hard for, and then he just gifts it away in a way. So that's not ideal, given where we are in the event.
Earlier in the chat, somebody pointed out that they saw, a lot of young Sinner in Fonseca's game. And I think his ball striking and just the ability to generate pace and the fluidity of the motion, I certainly see, as well as some of the movement. Rublev with the very saucy backhand there to get on the scoreboard in this game.
Damien, I already had it in my mind to tweet that out there, so I've tweeted it as well. So I wasn't stealing your idea.
No worries, no worries. I think a lot of people will be tweeting that out. Also, you didn't screen grab it, but just rather listed it out. So
yeah.
But I see a friend of mine also did it like 3 seconds after I did. So
did I beat you though?
Let me see. You lost to me by 22 seconds, at least according to my Twitter.
And I think I started before you, and I didn't screen grab it as well. My main problem.
You didn't screen grab it, so you had to write it out, and that's.
I see. Yeah, true. Well, I had to spell Giovanni and Pecci Pericard for a start, which meant a copy paste. Yeah.
Jane is trying to use.
Occasionally, I do it in the live. I sort of do it in the live chat, and the plan is to copy and paste it from the live chat and then put it on Twitter. But sometimes I press return and then I can't copy and paste it. Sometimes I'm getting so confused, and then because once you've posted it on YouTube, you can't then copy and paste your comments on YouTube, or you can't paste them from the live chat. You can as a comment, but. Anyway, Rublev here now, obviously back on serve, so that's a real demoralizer for him, albeit that he has won the first 2 points. Get back in your position there, Andrey. I don't think it was maybe quite quick enough. May have resulted in him with that forehand error.
Fonseca playing a little sloppy here with those last 2 returns. Not sloppy. He's maybe overhitting, overfeeling himself with 2 misses on huge return attempts. Jane is trying to use my terrible prediction skills for Rublev.
If you occasionally wonder why is John just sort of turning his camera on and off, it's just because I'm on the move, and when I'm on the move, it's just a lot easier. But I will be back on the camera again soon. I have a desk in my room, but unfortunately it's facing away from the TV, and it's one of those ones attached to the wall that I can't, So I can either just have my back to the TV and be in a very sort of office-like manner, or I have to sit in my bed and watch TV. Played a bit of tennis this morning, Damien.
How'd you hit him?
Actually, it was more a hit, actually, yeah. So, yeah, I was a bit annoyed at one point. We did sort of play some points with it. I played up some points, and the guy I played against had a shoulder issue, so he was serving underarm, okay? But the rest of his game was pretty good, let's say, probably beyond mine, certainly if we were rallying from the baseline. But the main problem was I sort of didn't take his underarm serves serious enough for 3 or 4 points, and that was enough to be behind on the scoreboard. I never got it back.
But
But anyway,
it's tough when somebody's playing that style. When they're throwing the junk at you, it's so hard to get in a rhythm.
the rest of his game wasn't junk, to be fair. And I understand he had a shoulder issue. He wanted to protect that. And I played him yesterday, actually, and he wasn't great. But let's just say he played a lot better today.
Yeah. So what is your approach when you've got somebody having shoulder troubles and they're either hitting a very weak serve or the underarm serve? How do you handle that on the course?
Well, Damien has a bit of a junk game, and he'll throw in quite a bit of junk, sort of trashy, rubbishy sort of balls. And so he's the guy who needs to answer this question, really.
Yeah.
Although maybe it's me.
I had this dilemma when I was playing John, actually, in Porto the second time on a hard court that didn't feel like a hard court. Trust me.
What did it feel like to you then, Damien?
It was a nightmare. I mean, I didn't know there was that bathroom there, and I didn't take much water from the court.
Yeah, true.
So, I mean, I was so out of it in the second set, 0-4 down. I still ended up winning 7-5. But I mean, yeah, I was just like trying to survive. I was barely I was just struggling. You were getting everything back, and it's like in an unpleasant manner, really. I was like, we're not playing tennis. Like this isn't tennis. The game.
I think we were a little boxed in at times on the backhand in that corner, Federer like. But yeah. I do wonder if maybe, though I didn't realize it until probably I was 4-love up in that set. But maybe those conditions might help me a bit more than sort of 8 o'clock on a chilly Portuguese morning on clay. Maybe without knowing. I've never played on grass, so I have no idea about grass. But I'd love to see how that works for me. And everyone's got their level, but everyone will certainly have a surface that they're probably better on. And bearing in mind my forehand is pretty flat, that would suggest a sort of hard court might be a little bit more beneficial than a clay court.
Yeah, but in matches you're not really using it anyway, right? Like you're just when we started hitting after the match, you were hitting through it, but like during the match you're not really confident enough.
Yeah, depends on where I'm at, I think, or how I'm feeling. But yeah.
But yeah, I was surprised that our match on clay was much more lopsided for me. I kind of do hate clay. I don't think it suits me at all. But after all, this is mostly what I play on right now. So maybe it's kind of changed over the years.
Zach, you're going to see a shank that I was going to say would make Stefanos Tsitsipas proud, but I don't think it's as bad as Stefanos. By the way, Stefanos was he was hitting forehand shanks the other day. I mean, my goodness me, if he's hitting forehand shanks, then I don't know where to go. But you're now going to see a pretty interesting moment in terms of where this game and this match is at.
Let's see this. Oh, sprayed that a little bit there from Fonseca at 30-15 to make it 30-all. I see that, and I'm just like, look, he's about to beat the world number 9 player potentially in straight sets, and he's doing it with some pretty clear areas for improvement. I mean, his ceiling is just so high. Is my takeaway, which maybe is the wrong takeaway from Shank. But
Damien, I've got a question for you. Did Joao Fonseca make a mistake there going to the net? Do you think, or is that just hindsight?
Yeah, that's just hindsight. I mean.
Wow, great point, though.
Yeah.
Not the best approach I've ever seen, but he still did an okay enough job on the half volley. Not much wrong with that, but anyway. Oh, sorry. That seems to be a flash score notification for Popyrin Mute. I usually don't even get them. I usually don't even have them on. But I do that sometimes during this Australian Open since, I'm expecting myself to be like barely awake watching these matches. And sometimes even the notification can wake me up.
To John's question earlier, though, Fonseca is 11 for 13 at the net. So even if it was a mistake, I think it's a reasonable risk to take just because he's had so much success when he's gotten there today.
I think it was a difficult pickup. I know, I agree with that, but I think it was a difficult pickup, and it was a difficult pickup because of his decision on the net. Mind you, he's made amends on the next 2 points.
Yeah. Oh, these guys are pumped.
He still did a lot there. Like in terms of the speak up, it could have been so much worse.
Yeah, I agree. Of course, it could have done, but I just think he put himself in a position where he's actually got a very difficult pickup. I think, and he did the best he could with it. I moved to get my decaffeinated coffee, actually, which is another part of my question for Zach. I thought Zach, being a huge coffee connoisseur, but actually he's only been drinking coffee for a year and a half, so I got that entirely wrong. I thought Zach would be frowning on me for drinking decaf coffee, but It's just
Not
because
hey, if it's hot and it keeps you going, like I support it. If it's cold and it keeps you going too, that's fine.
It's more about just actually taste more than because actually I don't want to be keeping going too much because I don't want to be like this basically in the next couple of hours. That's if I'm not sleeping in the next couple of hours, I'm not sleeping at all. Which actually brings me. Oh, it's only 12:46. Feels a bit later.
I will tell you, John, I am a bit snooty when it comes to the coffee that I consume. There's a local place where I live called Counterculture that makes some fantastic coffee products. And I'm a whole bean guy as well. Got to get the whole beans.
Okay, you've sort of accelerated your coffee levels certainly. Am I a cucumber person? No, but maybe I should be. There was a question as well I saw earlier from Ozan about Raducanu. Listen, all I can say is that the result is very impressive, I think. And her run is not going to get the result for Raducanu. Straight sets over Alexandrova.
Why?
Because I don't think she's had a result. Has she had a result, Damien? Has she had a result? Has she had many results as good as that in the last 3 years?
Yeah.
I mean, she's going out.
She have,
last year, she went out the Australian Open. She went out the Australian Open second round last year. Now, I think she had a decent run at one of the pre-tournaments to Wimbledon, where I think she might have had a win over Pegula.
She was in the fourth round at Wimbledon, for example.
Did you have her beating Alexandrova today?
I don't remember.
I bet you didn't.
I don't remember, to be honest.
I know I didn't.
Like, in the third round, I know, but I don't really like. Raducanu, it was, she wasn't playing before the event, right? So,
yeah, exactly. It's another reason. That's another reason to be impressed by it. There's two reasons.
It's Alexandrova, I'm all for Emma, and but it's Alexandrova. She loses to just anybody.
Mm-hmm. But you didn't have her lose to Emma Raducanu, I bet, in your bracket. I bet you didn't. You certainly didn't have Emma Raducanu playing Iga Swiatek in round 3.
No, I didn't. I had Anisimova there. But
and of course,
speaking of brackets, woo! I think that there's going to need to be a Talking Tennis contributor tournament at some point in time.
Well, we've got the league. Have you not entered our fantasy league?
No, not yet.
Okay.
But I mean, I think that we all got to get on the court with each other and play.
Oh, we would love to. Zach, I tell you what, you buy us all business class flights and we'll fly over to Buenos Aires. We'll be there in a few days.
Honestly, I'm fine with economy, Zach. You can.
That's so generous of you, Damien. Thank you for that offer.
Yeah, you wait till you see his hotel demands and his riders.
Yeah.
Do you know what a rider is, Damien?
No. Where? only yellow M&Ms in the candy bowl.
Do you know what a rider is, Damien?
No.
It's a rock kind of terminology for incentives, but often they are backstage. Zach coming up with the cliche of M&Ms, but often the demands can be a little bit more demanding because I can't think of another word. And you can probably just imagine what some of those demands are for rock and roll stars. So yeah, that's what a rider is. Anyway, there was an amazing return there from Joao Fonseca that actually had no meaning to it because it was just 1 point in a service game of Rublev's. But it was amazing. And I saw him basically ready for it. It was doing a sort of Holger Rune, Carlos Alcaraz, Caroline Garcia sort of impression. But Garcia does it all the time. But those guys sort of pick and choose their moments. And he was kind of just ready there to just go for that second serve, and he did it. Nevertheless, Rublev does hold to 15, and so it's actually Fonseca now serving to stay in the third set. Can anyone remember who served first in the first set?
Yes,
I believe it was Rublev.
Was it Damien?
It was Andrey, and you can also count this back because after the first set they switched serves, and also after the second one they did. So basically, it has to be the same as this set. But yeah, it was Andrey.
Good. Just because obviously Fonseca would have been in the same situation on 2 occasions. Then, although
yes,
now...
he was, and he didn't struggle in either of these games. 4-5 was super quick. I think 5-6 maybe a touch more competitive. No, actually, maybe not. Maybe both were too low or too 15.
I imagine Kren is, by the way, in a very, very good mood.
Yeah,
Although
not mention, of course.
Not because of this match.
Winning.
Yeah, because Kren, by the way, I saw his first comment basically that this Brazilian's going to get blown away or words to that effect. Well, that certainly hasn't happened, Kren, but I'm sure
I think
you're
there was
fine.
a second comment, and the first one was, "What a win for Gael."
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Would we say that was a bit of a sloppy miss from Fonseca?
Moment.
Yeah, a bit.
Somewhat, yeah.
Let's see if
John's already like 3
how he
points
responds
ahead.
here.
He's already, judging based on that. I did see the next point though, so yeah,
Yeah, me
it also
too.
makes me a little bit more optimistic in regards to that first miss. That's for sure.
That forehand in the second point was just, it looked automatic. He's got 3 feet from either line, plenty of margin, and
you're gonna like the third. You're gonna like the third place too, actually.
Yeah.
Oh,
it's
lucky
more
me.
of the same plus some inventiveness at the end. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, a little drop shot, very tasty. Okay, showing some variety out there. We like that.
From the
It's an
base
idiotic comparison, but like very niche Basavareddy. This is like the typical Basavareddy drop shot.
By the way, I know there's been these comparisons between him and Novak, and I have seen mixed reports on the Basavareddy return, but maybe I'm just reading the wrong ones because I thought he returned pretty badly against Novak, but people are saying he's a great returner. Where should I stand on this one, Damien?
Yeah, I mean, he was winning like 35% of his return games, I think, last year, and obviously I was against weaker competition. But generally speaking, like if he's gonna get aggressive seconds, if he's gonna get second serve returns, he can attack. You're gonna be under pressure a lot. He just like follows it up swiftly to the net, goes for like a lot of pace, plays off what you give him to. It's been a little tougher for him sometimes against some of the better returners some of the better servers. I don't know. He played Borna Goyo in Brisbane qualifying, and then like it's very tough for him to find the spots where he can actually, pressure the serve of someone like that. Against Novak, I mean, Nishash was cramping from like the end of the second set, so
yeah,
what can we really judge there?
Zach, what about that 30-all point?
It is about to conclude for me.
Great,
I thought it was. Wow! Is all I got?
Yeah, bet you thought it was about to.
Yeah, pretty good.
Yeah,
when,
that was
when
great.
Rublev had that inside in forehand, right? Me
Yep.
too.
I saw Rafa
That's
do
just
about.
like anticipation. Like Fonseca was already in that corner.
I saw Rafa do about 50 of those forehands against Medvedev in that Aussie Open final of 2022. Maybe a slight exaggeration with 50, but they felt like quite a few. Yeah, and I love the way that you said that, Zach. Actually, that you said, "Well, I thought it was going to end 3 or 4 times, or certainly in a big way where that Rublev won the air." And then Fonseca just manages to switch that point around. Nevertheless, he is going to lose the next point. So we are still sort of walking a bit of a tightrope here for the Brazilian. All right, Jane.
Thanks so much for joining. Good luck. The drop off. I wish guys, we're entering a period of the match where my stream being behind is perhaps prohibitive. So don't wait for me to catch up to give the updates, because this is, these are the pivotal moments, right? If Rublev can steal this set, anything can happen. And obviously if Fonseca wins the set, then nothing can happen, because that will be the match.
Indeed. It's going to have a game point.
Big serve there.
This is, by the way, the men's match still on right now. And there's just one as well on the women's side with Kudermetova and Gadecki. In fact, it looks like, well, the Australian Open might be over in like 15 minutes if these results kind of like go right for that scenario.
The day, obviously, not the whole tournament.
Yeah, they're not just going to give Fonseca the title, basically.
Mute, my friend. That is a surprise. Yes, a surprise. Probably,
I mean, he dominates the head-to-head against Popyrin. And yeah, I think Popyrin had a serious chance to go far in this event, considering that Medvedev might not be at the peak of his powers. We don't really know yet. But you have to get through this matchup first. Like, it's a lot of junk bowling, and Alexei still is a very limited player in many ways. Like, yeah, he's got a good serve and forehand, and that's kind of it. So, sort of. I mean, Mutai also loves these big matches. Like huge atmosphere, home crowd favorite against him. He can antagonize everybody around.
I'd love to tune into that atmosphere, if nothing else. By the way, Katie Boltus threw in 3 sets, probably a bit tighter than many would have imagined. 7-5 in the third over Marino, and we saw Alex de Minaur do the sort of coaching cliche, sort of pointing to the head at the point of her winning that match. So de Minaur there, ready for things. I think I'm now already at fatigue levels when it comes to Andy Murray coaching Novak Djokovic. I think I've seen enough to be entertained, if you like. I was intrigued by it at the beginning. I thought it was interesting. Now, I don't think he's necessarily going to be changing anything with Novak. I think it's just to give Novak a bit of a fresh voice and a bit of a boost. And I have seen it, and I have thought this since the beginning, just to have someone alongside him on tour. Who he gets on with, and that's I think it. Anyway, 15 all here on the Rublev serve.
I think you're exactly right, John. The only thing I would add to that is I think that Andy Murray is able to communicate things to Novak Djokovic that other coaches might be hesitant to because they're peers. You know, he can be more direct, more honest. Now, whether he's fully taking advantage of that or whether Novak's taking advantage of that is to be seen. But it's not like Andy Murray's going to pull punches when he's talking to him.
I agree, although it might have not looked that way in terms of the communication between him and the box during matches. I don't think Goran would have pulled any punches either, like off the court. I'm sure Goran. In fact, I think in the end that may have been how I think they had very good terms at the end, but it did feel like they were both, you know, it was a sort of a mutual agreement, and they love each other and they're respectful to each other and they appreciate each other's work. But both were like, Goran basically has said that he wasn't particularly happy with Novak in Indian Wells. And he just didn't think he was necessarily giving it everything. And he came up with those comments a couple of months after they parted company. And it was done I'm trying to say it frame it as tactfully as I possibly can. And it was said in a good way. You know, it was more along the lines of, you know, Novak has achieved everything in this sport, and maybe playing Luca Nardi in the third round or whatever it was in Indian Wells might be difficult for him to get up for, you know?
Of course. Yeah, I think if we're being honest, how can we not understand, right?
Yeah, even if you're a machine like Djokovic.
And to your question, or like questions, actually comment Matthew from earlier about Bolter, like she just has a godlike draw. That's all that there is to it, really.
Okay, yeah.
I don't think her reliability level is anything special. In fact, over the years, I've been pretty much very low on Katie Bolter compared to most people, especially the Brits on the channel. So that's kind of unusual for me. But just when I see her draw, I'm like, okay, she's probably going to play Paolini in the fourth round. Paolini is a rather vulnerable top seed. And the fourth round is very much achievable. I didn't watch the match against Marino today, so I can't say what happened there. I also like how Sakari lost and nobody is talking about that because, that's just not a story. And also,
I didn't even know that happened. I didn't even know.
Yeah.
So Rublev.
So my quarterfinal pick is alive.
Go on, Zach.
Rublev hanging in there to take it to 6-5. You know, I think let's see if Fonseca can get a relatively easy service win here before the break. But, you know, look, the longer Rublev hangs around, the more likely he is to get his confidence, maybe to hurt Joao's confidence. I think, you know, we might have a match. Look, we might be done in 5 minutes. We might be here for another 2.5 hours. So, you know, hope everybody's got flexible schedules today.
I want to see this game first, but if it does go to a tie break, I have a favorite, let's say that, to win that tie break.
Oh, is it prediction time?
Not yet. I want to see how this service game goes.
We're in the pre-prediction time.
Well, almost. I just want to see this service game, basically, because I just think this might be the moment that Rublev might have to strike, which is giving away my tiebreak.
Yeah, you've given it away for sure. But indeed, in the next 10-15 minutes, we might be done with play for the day because Kudermetova is serving for the match against Godetsky already. So Polina lost and Veronika is winning. Who is the greater Kudermetova now?
Yeah, right. I'm going to adjust the start time for the last ball drops. I know Mario can do it today. I don't know if you're available, Damien, or I can do it if you don't.
I mean,
just tell me where your energy.
Available. Like this wasn't too long if it is in straights, so I guess it's fine.
Yeah,
We
let's
can
do that.
kind of revisit this if it's in 5 sets. I might kind of have
Absolutely.
another idea.
Let's
about that.
let's have you down if you're okay with this, Damien. Let's have you down for last ball if it is in straights. If you're okay
Yeah,
with
that sounds pretty fair. You know, I was expecting to be here for a while longer. I do have more time. Like I'm gonna be leaving, you know, at my usual 5:30-ish hour. So I do have time for it. Do I have the, you know, do I want to? Yeah, I guess if it's in straights, fine. Anyway, it looks like
Fonseca.
according to John, it will be in straights because Fonseca is dominating this game.
Yeah, and in fact, I am therefore going to continue with my prediction as Damien interpreted. Yeah, I'm going for Fonseca to get this done in straights now. That doesn't mean that Rublev can't win this tiebreak, but I'm feeling like it's a 65-35 Joao. And Rublev is getting a bit frustrated, I think, with the ball boys there.
We've got John making the prediction of Fonseca winning this in the tiebreaker. Earlier, I made a prediction of Rublev winning the set, so I'm stuck with that, even though I think John will probably be right. I'll just to be the contrarian stick with Andrey. And here we go. On to the tiebreaker.
Yeah. Let's know in the live chat what you think as well. And we're going to watch a pretty special first point here. I mean, that's just tennis of an old hat there, of a 28-year-old who's won 3 Grand Slams. And it's not Andrey Rublev.
You're actually going to win this, okay? Because when the moment you said it, he was like really behind in the point. Okay, yeah, that's perfect.
John, I just got to the part where Rublev is frustrated with the ball boy. Yeah, he's frustrated with the ball boys.
Yeah. We're going to see the closest that we've had so far, that I think, or at least since I've been watching. We're going to have the closest moment of an Andrey meltdown in a second. It's not that close, but it crossed his mind.
You know, as someone who's dealt with some mental issues on the court, I feel like I know it when I see it. When the demons start talking a little louder, you know, it only escalates. It doesn't, you know. And I think kudos to Rublev for trying to confront them head on and for having a pretty good match on that front so far.
We will sort of have last ball, but it'll probably be, if this is this going to be the last match, Damien, or did you say there's another one happening?
I mean, Kudermetova and Gadetsky are either in the last game or have just finished or something like that. Like, it literally could be, you know, in 5 minutes we might be done with play if Kudermetova wraps it up and Joao does as well, which currently, of course, he's 3-0 up. It's very similar to the first set tiebreak where Rublev was also starting, and it started with mini break. I think it went to 4-love for Fonseca, and then there was an ace for Andrey.
The Volcano.
Of course, Joao won that 7-1. And now, will Rublev win this point? I mean, it's definitely quite pivotal, and he doesn't. So,
and the volcano that is Andrey Rublev has just erupted.
Yes, the racket is on the floor, and the match looks pretty much done. Let's see if there's some magic comeback, if there's some tightness in Fonseca's game.
Ooh! Now that was a cultured return. Yeah, that's not very clever, Joao. Don't think he'll end up regretting that, but yeah, I just wonder if he just lost a bit of concentration there for a second. Maybe it was such a soft second serve that caught him by surprise. Because normally that would be there to be smashed at rather than just sort of do a defensive shot over the net. Ooh, Andrey gets a bit lucky there with a net cord. Not the first time that he's been lucky with a net cord on a big point in Australia. Of course, if you remember that match point that he had, the net cord on against Holger Rune at 9-7 in 2023.
Let the record reflect the racket throw was from the Andy Roddick school of throw it without breaking it. So he was able to continue with the racket for Rublev, which I've just seen now.
great question, but I don't think the time is now to answer it, bearing in mind it's 4-2 in what could be the end of the closing stages of the match. We will definitely address that question, though, Snehal, in Last Ball Drops. So tune in to Last Ball Drops, which could be in about 10 minutes, maybe even a bit less. Ooh, 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 ooh. Okay. Okay.
I can't wait to see this point, John.
Last Ball Drops could be in 5 or 10 minutes, or it could be in an hour or two.
Yeah, I can guess he missed the shot. Watching this tiebreak, I have to tell you, is a little tough. With a big spoiler.
Because I'm ahead.
Point.
Because I'm ahead. Oh, I'm gonna keep quiet.
No, I mean it's fine. You know.
I love the reactions of like the woo 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 does not tell us what's happening.
Exactly,
it's just fun.
The woo woo is a Rublev point.
Yeah, I know what Damien means. I know what Damien means.
What is this question, by the way, from Matthew in our group chat? Is Fonseca legit?
Bless him.
Where was he the last 12 months?
I know. Well, someone else can deal with that. 3-5.
Already did by saying well yes to Joao Fonseca on this return. It's pretty good. I mean, it didn't have to get him the point right away, but Rublev wasn't ready for it, so the mini break has been restored. It's still just 5-3 though. It's definitely not the for love, you know, we are gonna be done with this very soon feeling that we had.
I'm getting nervous that I might get my first ever prediction on Talking Tennis correct here, and some more tennis out of it.
Let's see.
Didn't you say that? I mean, you said that Rublev, right, was gonna.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. So Yeah, but it's a lot closer than it was when it was 4-0.
It is. Yeah, 5-3. Rublev puts away the +1 forehand. Yeah, Joao didn't seem to intend on tracking him down, to be honest. I mean, now's kind of the key point. 5-4. Is it gonna be too much points, or is it gonna be more dicey? 5-all finish. Could use a big serve. He does not get it.
Oh. All I'll say, I thought this was in.
Go for the inside out. I mean, from this position, you'd expect Fonseca should win the point, but Rublev is defending quite well. And eventually the forehand is probably wide from Fonseca, I'd assume.
Yeah,
we're going to see close call of that, and it is a bit wide. So, he kind of did everything right here, just missed that one by a tiny bit. But
I mean, Rublev's defense was great. Rublev's defense was great.
Defense from Rublev to survive. He definitely could have lost that point like 3-4 shots earlier. And in fact, most of the match he usually did. So now 5 points all, and well, there's either going to be a match point here or a set point for Rublev. The service points for Fonseca in this tiebreak have been very tough the last few times. So let's see. I think the serve is also wide, long, whichever, maybe even both. So once more, the second serve. And well, the nerves now will be at an all-time high. Okay. Yeah, sure. I mean, the nerves now will be at an all-time high. Sure. Yeah, I'm just gonna leave it to Zach to see.
Yeah, Zach, you
does Fonseca just do something outrageous? All right, it's 5-all. Fonseca's serving.
Considering the situation,
misses the first serve. Second serve at 5-all from Fonseca here. To Rublev's forehand. Picks up a good return. Cross-court backhand exchange. Yeah. Oh, the nerves at an all-time high. He didn't. Everybody felt them except for him with the unbelievable backhand winner there from Fonseca. Oh my goodness. And the crowd is feeling it. You can hear them through your muted screen if you're watching it that way. Okay,
Damien,
big moment.
Go on. Talk us through this point.
Okay. Match point. Rublev serving to Fonseca's forehand. Deep return. Big inside out forehand up the line backhand. And there he is. And a star was not born today, but certainly has emerged on this court in Australia. Fonseca's level. I mean, Rublev did not play a bad match. There is no shame in this loss from Rublev. To his credit, he largely kept himself composed. Fonseca was that good, in my opinion. Gentlemen, what did y'all think?
Damien, go on.
Like graduation for Fonseca rather than the birth. But yeah, I mean, first top 10 match, first Grand Slam main draw match. 14 wins in a row, 9 in 2025. I know this went over the 75-minute mark, but for all intents and purposes, like that's still amazing. And he was able to straight set Rublev even. It didn't really allow any like physical concerns to come into play. I don't think they would have been really because, 2 hours 23, he was looking amazing. Very frustrating one for Rublev because it's not like he's just coming out and he has a good game plan and I don't know, he just can't execute it for whatever reason. He literally just couldn't do anything for the most part. The one thing that he like did poorly was that 3-1 break he got in the third set and then just giving it right back. Like that's the only one that really like Rublev could have been more clinical on. The tiebreak, honestly, is still amazing. Like the first set tiebreak was just a brilliant display of tennis. The first set tiebreak from Fonseca, though, you could see that, okay, this might actually get weird now. At 5-all from 4-0 or whatever it was, there's that net cord. There's a couple of more like random errors. There's that long point where Rublev is defending, and that's like a classic, top guy is trying to come up against a youngster. He's in trouble. So he's just going to like dig in, right? He's going to lock in and find all the shots that basically he can possibly make to extend the point. And then he gets these two next winners. And yeah, I mean, wow, that's maybe all I'm going to say.
Yeah. Wow, indeed. I mean, those last 2 points, I think, Joao actually got a little, I don't know if he lost a bit of concentration at 4-love in the tie break, but there was a couple of points that seemed to be a little bit careless, particularly that return of serve on a pretty slow second serve. But once it got close again, it was like, you know what, I'm going to put on the afterburners. And those two final points were someone, as I said before on the stream, with just incredible confidence coursing through his veins. One was a backhand winner, one was a forehand winner. And for Andrey Rublev, not sure in those 2 or 3 points he could have done much about it. There were some fine margins earlier on in the match, as Damien and Zach highlighted. But yeah, just in terms of Andrey's situation, it's quite similar to Stefanos Tsitsipas in that, maybe he's not evolving, but there are others just flying past him. And only Zverev from that sort of generation is hanging on to the coattails of the big guys. And wow, there we go. Joao Fonseca, straight sets. I went for Rublev in 4. Yeah, Zach, what do you think?
Well, I had Fonseca in 5, and I would not have put money on that. Not because I don't think that he is the talent that we've all discussed that he is, just because I think Rublev is an excellent player, and certainly has, I thought, would have had the level to at least take a set or two off of Fonseca. I think that we're witnessing the future of tennis. I think that we just saw the man who's going to deliver a Masters 1000 tournament to South America. I think that he has all that you need to be a multi-major winner. And I know that's an outrageous expectation to put on anybody, but, with Alcaraz now having achieved it and Sinner well on his way, or Sinner as well, that is the sort of the stakes anytime you've got a prospect of this caliber. And I don't know if he is up for it, but based on what we saw today, I certainly believe that he can get there. The forehand, the ball striking, the serve, one of the things that I said earlier on in the broadcast was if I wanted to see if he could win a set when he wasn't hitting 80% of his first serves or a high 70 mark. And that's exactly what he did in set 3 there. He's got every weapon there is. He hit multiple inside out backhand winners against Andrey Rublev. He hit approaches to Rublev's forehand with so much pace and power that Rublev couldn't do anything with them. He had soft hands at the net where he won a staggering amount of points. Just a complete match from start to finish. I feel really lucky that I got to watch this with y'all. And I hope the folks in the chat enjoyed as much as I did because, wow, I feel like we've just seen something special.
Agree indeed. I think we've been seeing something more and more and more special. Damien, I'm going to read a stat out for you that Opta have provided, and it's this. Joao Fonseca has become only the second teenager since 1973 to defeat an ATP top 10 opponent in their maiden Grand Slam main draw match after Mario Andrich did the same. against after Mario Andrey, Roger Federer in Wimbledon 2002, and they've called it Leap. Well, Leap in terms of, we've already had some astronomical references to Joao Fonseca. Leap and Giant Leap and all that other stuff in terms of astronomy as well is quite relevant today, although maybe he hasn't quite landed on the moon just yet. But he's certainly got in the rocket and is about to take off. How far is he going to take off before he lands in this Australian Open, Damon?
He's got Sonego next. He already beat him in Bucharest. I think I was doing the watch along for that one as well last year. Then I don't really remember, but I think there's like a 4th round very possible. And after that, I guess we'll see physically like what his form is going to be. Of course, he might just have a lull against Sonego in the 2nd round. It's not like Sonego, is a player he's just gonna walk all over. He's still just 18. That poor performance is happening at some point. We just haven't seen it since the next gen finals, really, since the next gen finals began at the very least. But yeah, it might happen at some point. So I'm not really like giving him the automatic pass to the 3rd round, but he will be the favorite over Sonego. I think that much is clear to anybody at the moment.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, Damien. Thank you, Zach, for doing most of the heavy lifting, although I hope the entertainment in front of you made it a little bit lighter. I'm just going to finish with this, basically, as Zach said, a star wasn't born today, but it certainly evolved well. Stars, by the way, can become red giants, and they expand in diameter, increasing in luminosity before cooling in temperature.
By the way, Cassidy Samre played, I think, 20 Challenger main draw matches. He made a quarterfinal in Seoul last year. So it's a little inaccurate what you said, but obviously, yeah, it was still an incredible achievement and honestly an incredible performance from him to get 2 sets of Daniil Medvedev. Haven't seen such tennis from him at all, absolutely, ever. But he did play 20, I think, Challenger main draw matches. Actually, 21, I think, because I'm not counting the one in Nonthaburi earlier this season.
Snehel, please.
A bit of a crazy coincidence, really quick as well.
Sure.
Small world, but 10-year-old Zach was at that Andrey-Federer match in Wimbledon in 2002. It was one of the first professional live tennis matches I ever watched, and I was rooting for Federer the whole time. But, it's just kind of a small world and wanted to share.
Cool.
Awesome.
Guys, I can see lots and lots of questions in the live chat, especially about some of the other tennis action today. All of those questions will be addressed very, very shortly with Damien and Vanch for the last ball.
Mario earlier. I don't know if that's...
Oh, sorry, Damien and Mario. Yep, that's me getting confused, which won't be the first or the last time during this Australian Open, that's for sure. But you'll be catching Damien and Mario for the last ball. So I've got a WhatsApp here from Mario right now, which is basically saying when. I'm going to write to him and just say ASAP, basically.
No.
Yeah. If the matches have come to an end. So if you're not sure what last ball drops is, it's a show we do every day at least 3 of the 4 Grand Slams. It's much more difficult in New York, but we're doing it for Australian Open every day, pretty much for the first 10 days. We do a show which reviews the day, and it's pretty much just a few minutes after the last ball drops. The last ball has dropped on the side of the net of Andrey Rublev, and so he is out in the first round of a Grand Slam, and it feels like a long time since that happened. And Joao Fonseca is going to progress. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. See you over on the other side in a few minutes for Last Ball Drops. This live, by the way, show will actually just automatically redirect to you. So if you stay live on this, you'll find us. Make sure you like and subscribe, and then you'll get directed to a lot more of our stuff as well. Just want to say a big thanks to Damien and Zach once more.
Thanks so much for having us, John. This was a ton of fun, and thanks so much to Damien as well.
Yeah, thank you, Zach. See you on the Last Ball Drops show, guys.
Yep. And to everyone else,
enjoy.
You know the drill.
If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell so you don't miss out on all things tennis. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell so you don't miss out on all things tennis.